Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are so glad to have you all here as Christian MacLeod, the Cryptid Gee, and Christina, the Cryptid Girl, are here tonight to talk about all sorts of monsters. We're going to have a lot of fun with them coming on up. But first, we need to say hello to each and every one of you. Why do we do this? Because we can. We're good that way. We're good people. We're good hosts. And we have Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing the gold medal position tonight. T-Bone with a silver and Kitty Cattywhack taking home the bronze medal tonight. Race Fan in a fourth place finish. Paramarv, how you doing, buddy? Necessary Dialogue and Michael Morris, the attorney at large. How you guys doing? Trucker Andrew, nice to see you as we scroll on down for our roll call and say hello to Kathy Evans. Little Cam kicking off the super chat tonight. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you, Lil Cam, for the love. We scroll on down, and up next we have Robert Lamoth. Robert Lamoth will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because the Cryptid Gee says, I will not ever do this show unless Mel lubes me up. And when you don't lube Christian up, this is what happens right there. That's the face you get. That's a face of pain and agony when you're not lubed up. So thank you, Mel, for taking care of that job. Don't forget to give yourself a little shot as well. Kitty Cattywhack, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your love each and every night. We appreciate it. Lisa Smith, how are you? Frankie B, how you doing? Thunderhead and Road Flare, good to have you both here. Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, nice to see you. There she is, Mama Catherine. Oh, I love you. I love you. Mwah. I hope you had a wonderful day. I hope you had a wonderful evening, and I hope you enjoy this wonderful show tonight. So thank you again for listening, Mama Catherine. You're loved. You're so loved. Moving on down. Well, let's see here. We have Jaquetta. We have Mickey G. And who is next on our list here? Well, it's Walter Kochabinski, everybody. Walter will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. We scroll on down next and we say hello to Carol Amario. Nice to have you here. And who is next on our list here? Well, let's just scroll on down and we will say hello to Jessica S. Good to have you here. Thank you. All right, let's continue on with our roll call. Undead Jed, nice to see you. And Forrest Louie, how are you? Nice to have you here. And Algaray over on Twitch, so excited for Cryptid Gee tonight that he did 2,000 Dogman canine curls, 100 pounds each. Yeah, he did it in a record time of 22.26 minutes. Good job, Algaray. Good job. Moving on here. And as we continue on with roll call, Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. Erica Stover, nice to see you. Gear Jammers, how you guys doing? Thank you for coming on in. As we scroll on down and say hello to Kurt M. East Coast Turnaround on X. Thank you for joining us. And who is next? Well, let's take a look here before we start the radio side. Let's take a look. In the studio, how are you? And Millennium, my man. Always a pleasure to have you here. And who is next on our list? Ozzy, good to see you, my friend. Beelzebrad has a devil put aside for me. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're going to talk monsters all night long. The Cryptid Gee and Cryptid Girl are here. Yeah, for monster hunters. Yeah, Mickey, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate your love of Spaced Out Radio. TCR, good to see you tonight as we scroll on down on our roll call. And who is next? Road Flare again? Yeah, we'll say him again. All right, we can do that. We got 29 seconds. Who else can we get? Paris Solo, good to have you here. And we are caught up. And don't forget, Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. I promise you that. You'll look good in our stuff. Steve Wolf, how you doing? Nice to have you here. Throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears to what's really happening now. We're together. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. Go to cariboucon.com. Get your VIP tickets for our great paranormal event in the heart of British Columbia, September 18th through 20th. We are getting into monsters tonight. Christian MacLeod is here along with Christina. They are the cryptid couple from ACAPS, American Cryptid and Paranormal Society, down in somewhere in the Carolinas. They're hidden. They don't give out their address. They're too scared to, because the monsters may come knock at their door and say, hey, I heard you've been hunting us. We don't like that. They don't want that. They don't want that. In hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us. Follow that up. I believe Robin Haynes will be here for the Cryptid Q&A. So let's get right to this show because it's going to be a good one. Christian MacLeod is a dedicated field investigator and researcher with the American Cryptid and Paranormal Society, known for his boots-on-the-ground approach to uncovering the truth behind some of North America's most enduring mysteries, specializing in cryptids such as Bigfoot and Dogman, as well as high-strangeness encounters involving UFOs and the unexplained. Christian combines traditional tracking methods with modern investigative tools to document evidence in remote wilderness locations. His passion for the unknown is driven by firsthand experiences and a relentless curiosity to understand what may be lurking just beyond the edges of conventional science. We're going to get to him right now. Christian MacLeod, the Cryptid Gee. Nice to have you here, my friend. How are you?
Awesome. Wonderful to be here. Thanks again for having us.
This is the first time this year I've had my window open in the studio.
Well, there you go. And you know what? We might have a storm blowing in. We're not sure. We got to see what the weather says, but they're talking about 6 inches of snow on the East Coast. So I don't know. We might not have our windows open yet.
My
So
windows.
how you been doing, man? How's life treating you?
Well, life's treating me pretty good right now, man. This past weekend I tried to get out to Flight 21. We got about 3/4 of the way there. Oh, more than 3/4, probably 7/8 of the way there. And we have to like go into this gully. Okay. And so my buddy, my cameraman, Mike, and I, we pull up and we get to the spot. Okay. There's still some snow and ice in the puddles on the trek in. And then we get to the top of the hill where we got to go into this gully. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, this just doesn't look safe. But I'm here. Maybe I should try it. But the more I thought about it, we sent Mike down the gully, just to see what the bottom was like. And there's not really a place to turn around in the gully. It looks like it when the snow is there, but there's really no place to turn around. And we decided against it. It was just too dangerous. So I think probably another couple of weeks, we got to wait for that part of the snow to melt before we could get in there.
Is there enough room to lower a camera down or anything to see what's down there?
Well, we walked down there. Well, Mike did, not me. I'm way too lazy for that.
You got to send in the underlings. That's why I would.
Well, he's the new guy,
Go check it out, Christina. That's what I'd say. I send the drone in there, but that's just me.
Well, you know what? That is something.
I call my drone Christina.
Well, whatever works. But no, we're probably still a couple weeks away from getting in there. So, it's too bad because I want to get things going in there. I want to, because I'm going to have a brand new team with me. I know it's going to take another few weeks or couple months to get the Sasquatch and everything in there used to the new team.
Yeah.
So I want to get started as quickly as possible, but unfortunately, this is just the way it is right now. And Mother Nature needs to melt her damn snow pretty quick.
You can't mess with Mother Nature, man. She's still the boss.
Sure.
She is totally the boss.
Totally
The boss. I wanted to get into, before we get into some monster talk, I know you are very much into UFOs and aliens and everything like this. I'm still baffled by this story. Now, I've talked about it for a couple of days now on this show, but I wanted to get your opinion of it because I believe you're a former member of MUFON?
No, I'm a current member of
MUFON. Okay. And Matt Gaetz, the former congressman,
Florida congressman,
comes out on the Benny Johnson podcast, and then this past weekend on Walter M. Sterling Every Damn Night on WABC. He comes out and says that the Americans and the military have at least up to allegedly 14 bases where they have captured aliens, and they have allegedly taken people from third world countries, war-torn countries, destitute people, okay, and are actually conducting alien-human hybrid experiments at these locations. Now, he said he was told this by a uniformed enlisted soldier of the U.S. Army who said, what you need to do is you need to send Congress people to each building all at once. Just show up at 14 different locations, knock on the door and say, what's going on in here? That way they don't have an opportunity to move the aliens, move the people, and cover it up with security. Now, he did not mention where these bases were. Obviously, he's going to keep that quiet. But I'm just curious, with you doing the investigations on UFOs as well, and being a part of MUFON, how do you feel about this?
Well, here's the problem I have with this, and anyone that's been in the UFO community as long as you have, as long as I have, as Christina has, there's always that certain faction that comes up with something that is just so weird that it has to be true, or it's too weird not to be true. And the problem I have with this one is I trust a guy. I believe someone said something to him, but when he said it was for he claims the goal was to create hybrid race for intergalactic communication. That excuse just doesn't. That's weaker than circus lemonade for me. That doesn't make any sense. Why would we have to have hybrids for communication? That just doesn't. It just doesn't hold water for me. I think that maybe the story is getting skewed, or maybe he's specifically saying wrong things, or maybe he's just trying to, put some light into the darkness over here. But the excuses he doesn't make don't make sense. And the one I got, it says that Gates allegedly that a uniformed U.S. officer briefed him that 6 to 12 facilities where captured aliens were forced to breed with humans, abducted from war zones and migrant caravans. That part to me makes total sense. Because if you're going to grab someone from a war zone, that's basically, it's a war zone. We don't, you don't know who's going to live or die. And the migrant thing, I can see that happening. I don't have a problem with the humans aspect of it, where they're coming from or how they're getting at. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because I believe it's very wrong.
Right.
But my point is that makes sense. But the reason why they're doing it to me makes no sense. Like if they said they were trying to colonize a race, like, in the old X-Files, where they were trying to crossbreed with humanity so they could save their race, that I would believe. But for communication, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I believe the guy had a talk with someone. I believe someone sat down and talked with him. I know of 3 people right now that are former military, and one of them was pretty high up in an agency, and he told me just the other day that he remembers having this conversation with the military when he was getting debriefed. And then he went into some other details, but I'm not privy to say those. But this is nothing new.
We'll get to Christian here momentarily. For some reason, his home in North Carolina, it's not aliens or anything like that. I think it's Dogman or Bigfoot that unplugs his signal every now and again. But the interesting part about that is the alleged kidnappings. This is what kind of gets me. And this is what honestly scares me about this entire thing, is these alleged kidnappings that they are taking people, according to Matt Gaetz, they are taking people from third world countries, war-torn countries, and kidnapping them, allegedly. I have to say allegedly a lot in order to cover my belt and my butt, so that way I don't get in trouble, allegedly. Because this story, if real, is absolutely horrific. The fact that they could be kidnapping people, allegedly Christian, from any other country, that adds a whole different realm of questions. Where are these alleged people coming from?
But what's the end game of it? Even if they are, let's just say they land somewhere like in Indonesia or in Bali, where places haven't been explored yet by humanity. All right, they could go there and grab human beings that have no contact with modern humanity and basically start from scratch if they wanted to. But again, my question is, why are they doing this? What's the end game? And are they really doing this to communicate, or are they looking for biological ways to get rid of us?
Well, not to put it into a TV show context, but in the TV show Resident Alien, the Greys had to make hybrids so that they could survive in this atmosphere. They could survive with Earth's gravity and atmosphere for a very long time to communicate.
That's not what's being said.
But what if the communication means they need to be able to go both places, and only a hybrid could survive both places?
You can communicate. You're telling me they can no, that's ridiculous. They can go light speed. They can go past the speed of light. They can travel the stars and not break or not worry about the space-time continuum. But they need to breed with humanity just so they can communicate with humanity. That's ridiculous. Their technology is so far advanced that doesn't hold water either. It's a nice thought, but it's not even approachably accurate. They're doing something else. This is all a cover-up or something. I honestly believe this is a biological way to make war on humanity. They don't want to destroy the planet. They don't want to think about it. There's only a couple ways to get rid of us. You can nuke us, or you can poison us. You can do whatever. But then what damage do you do to the ecosystem? They're trying to find a way. In my opinion, this is nothing but trying to find a way to get rid of humanity without destroying the planet or doing a whole lot of damage to the planet.
It could be that, or it could be simply that they are trying to get the communication going, which doesn't make sense to me either, by the way. But my question, and what kind of irritates me a little bit, is the idea of where are these alleged people coming from? Number one. Number two, how long are they there for? And number three, after, let's say, they are done with them, what do they do with them? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Are they in society now? Are they walking around like regular people? I mean, how do we tell?
Are they just
people that they took to breed? Are they letting them go somehow? Or are they killing them when they're done?
I mean, my guess is they're probably just killing them. I mean, what good would you? I mean, why bother keeping them around when you've got the DNA and the genetic stock?
Well, but I mean, these are questions that we can all allege, but we need to find answers. And the unfortunate part about that is a topic as sensitive as this, if Matt Gaetz is telling the truth, and for the sake of the conversation, let's say he is, this opens up a lot of laws being broken, man.
Yeah. We're talking international law. We're talking not just U.S. laws. We're talking laws against humanity. We're talking war crimes. These are war crimes. That's what this is.
But I mean, let's expand this out. Allegedly, if these people are going, are they taking adults? Are they taking seniors? Are they taking children? Okay.
But this all goes back. Well, you can go back as far as you want, but Corso in his book, The Day After Roswell, he's talked about this. He said this is exactly what they were doing, and he said there was nothing we can do about it simply because we don't have the technology to fight back. So we basically had to lay back and let it happen. This has been going on since Roswell. This has been going on since before Roswell. So my question is not only why is it taking so long, what are they really doing? And then what are they doing with the aftermath? In other words, if they are crossbreeding, where are these things? And what are they going to do with them? You know, or do they look human enough they can pass? And they're living amongst us now. I mean, you know, how many people like, even look at Bigelow. You know, he says aliens live among us now. Elon Musk, he says aliens live among us now. These guys are in the know. Are they just being, you know, are they clowning around with us? Or are they being honest? You know, I was a huge fan of Robert Bigelow. I still am. The stuff he did is pioneering. And I'll be honest with you, I used to call that man's office once a week, try to get a podcast on with him or an interview with him. I used to know the lady's name. You know, she's, is this Christian? I'll be like, yes, ma'am. She goes, yeah, he's still not here. I said, all right, I'll talk to you next week. But my point is if people like that are saying, hey, there's aliens among us, they've been here, what are you going to do? You know, that's a concern right there. Because now what does that do to the political upheaval? Are they running secret cabals with secret societies? Is all that true? Are all those crazy, thoughts about, certain areas being run by in the globe, running by, say reptilians or something like that? I mean, that gives clearance to all that. So if one of those is true, all of that's possibly true.
And that's the point. Now this opens up to disclosure. Okay. Because if Matt Gaetz, once again, is telling the truth, and I have to repeat that over and over because I don't want to get into any trouble here.
No, you have to, because it isn't if we don't know.
We don't know.
But if he is telling the truth, this is where, like, our show at least has been trying to teach our audience for a number of years now. What is disclosure to you? Do we want the soft, controlled disclosure that the government wants to give us? That is not healthy, because whatever they do, they're going to be skipping out and hiding stories like this alleged one, or whether or not Eisenhower traded humans for technology back in the early 1950s, or whether Bob Lazar worked at Area 51, or whether people who are being taken, that it is alleged that there may be a list of names that they have of people, and that list could be in the tens of thousands of people who have been taken. This is going to open up absolutely everything.
Yeah, but Dave, what if these names correlate? Yeah.
Let me finish here for a quick second, because that to me is disclosure. Talking about a threat narrative where there's only one country in the world that considers this a threat, which is the United States. No other country has come out with the threat narrative. In fact, they stopped talks with Canada on it a couple of years ago because Canada did not want to play along with the threat narrative. Neither did the UK, Australia, or any of the other Five Eyes regarding this subject. So we could do it that way, but we're cheating ourselves from what disclosure truly is. Or if we're going to talk disclosure, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and see what's actually there, Christian.
I totally agree with that. But the problem is you've got so many things that have been told to us and so many lies over the years. Okay, take, for example, how many scientists are missing? They just disappear. That Malaysia flight that disappeared, we still don't know what happened to. We might have found a piece of it years ago, but we still don't have. There were 7 of the most prominent scientists on the planet on that flight. Doesn't sound a little quinky-dinky? Look at how many physicists are disappearing. Just all these high-ranking science officials. They're vanishing off the face of the earth, and we don't know where they're going. So how do we know this isn't connected? Are these the guys that could literally find out why all this is happening, and then to eliminate the full disclosure, these people are taken out of the equation? I mean, there's so many questions that can't be answered. And you think we're actually going to get the truth out of anyone?
No.
It's going to be one of these things, unless a UFO lands in front of the White House and says, hey, let's just talk about this and let everyone know what's going on so we're all on the same page. It's just not going to happen. And why they don't just give full disclosure beats me, because, I understand if they did that real quick, or they just said, okay, hey, this is it. Of course, you'd have your religious institution rebellion, and then you'd have the people losing it. But eventually it's all going to calm down, and everyone's going to realize that, hey, this is what's going on. And now we have to, accept and adapt. So, I mean, that's really all we can do.
Jeff in our chat room says, why would anyone give Matt Gaetz and those other politicos true information? You'd think they would give it more to credible people than them. Well, the problem is a lot of people, if we take this verbatim, a lot of people still believe in the government. Not everybody is a conspiracy theorist like us. Okay, and that's what we are. Be proud of it. Wear the tag, wear the tinfoil.
Yeah.
Be proud of it. Okay, conspiracy theorists today, it's not what it was 25, 30 years ago. Today, it's about getting questions answered to tough questions of secret things. Okay, that's why, Anna Paulina Luna allegedly has her conspiracy club, right? Where they're going into JFK and aliens and everything else. But the point is, let's just say this. There are still people who believe that a politician is there to do good. And I think deep down, a lot of them really do want to. More in the Congress than in the Senate. There are some greedy ones. Let's not cover it up. Let's not just throw shade over it. There are some greedy ones that are right there for themselves. Maybe they're worth a couple $100,000, and in 10 years they're going to be worth $200 million. Seems to happen that way. But
Nancy Pelosi, there you go.
But when you look at it, let's just say verbatim that this guy, this Army enlisted man, this soldier came in, and this story is true. He probably didn't have anywhere to turn. Saw that Matt Gaetz was his representative, saw that it was something that he had dealt with, didn't like what he dealt with, didn't like what he saw or had heard, and decided to do something about it the only way he knew how, where he could keep his identity quiet, where he could make something happen. Maybe it's just as simple as that.
I mean, that sounds good to me, because he was a Florida, so the guy might have been from Florida. Yeah. But, I mean, you're supposed to be able to trust your public officials. It's like, sometimes you watch those cop shows and you can't trust the cops, local cops, so you got to get the feds out. Or you got to break down the feds. Maybe and you're absolutely right. Maybe it was a situation like that, and he's just talking to his congressman and he thinks, okay, now he can fix this. But, this guy's got to have access to these 14 or 12 or 14 different areas. He's got, it's like he's got to have the address in his phone book. So how's he going to get that? There's just, even by releasing this, all he's done is open the door to more questions and less answers. That's all he's done. Because now we have more questions.
On that note, I'm going to get you guys to hold on. We have Christina, we have Christian. They are the Cryptid couple here for chasing down monsters on Spaced Out Radio. When we return, we're going to get into some of those monsters because Christian is on the hunt. Always on the hunt. This is Spaced Out Radio. There we go. We're clear. I love that picture.
I know.
I can never get enough of that picture.
That is obvious.
All right. Brent Fleury, welcome to SOR chat. Where in Canada are you, my friend? Let me know. Maybe you're a neighbor. I'm in BC. Hillbilly Herb, how you doing? Who else has showed up here? Terry Hall, your mustache looks impeccable.
Yeah, please.
Can't wait to see it on camera tomorrow night. Pre-blown, how you doing? Well, great comment, Pre-blown. I hate that we still don't know enough to get past this part of the conversation. They will never come clean. Exactly. That's the point. That's the point.
You know, that's the biggest heartbreaker of all. Honestly, you know that? That's the one thing. It's like they just can't be honest about the one thing. Just tell us that.
Absolutely.
And so here's my question today. Why is it that like all these governments all agree on absolutely no disclosure, but we're still having, you know, problems in Gaza and things like that? Why? How is this? It makes no sense to me.
That's for a different show and a different conversation.
I know, but it's just ridiculous.
I know.
We can agree on one thing.
I know.
Keep our people stupid. But
well, I mean, one of the things that I find interesting is you get everybody out there who says, don't trust the government, don't believe the government. But when it comes to UFOs, the government's telling 100% of the truth.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Well, and you know, honestly, because even God forbid they know about them, and let's just say, heaven forbid, they're scared of them. Let's just say that the government is scared of these aliens. And again, I keep quoting Corso's book, The Day After Roswell, because it's been, everything in that book has been 100% accurate. Everything he said was going to happen, happened. He even predicted this. He said eventually, thank you. He said eventually you're going to have politicians coming out and saying, hey, yeah, we know about these things, but this is all we know, and we don't have the whole story. And that's happening now. And eventually, you know, the story's going to have to come out. But how bad is everyone going to look? I mean, what kind of faith are we going to have in the system when they finally have to tell the truth, or we look up and there's, you know, 10 or 12 superstar destroyers up there and we don't know what their intentions are?
Well,
I mean, what happens to the government at that point?
You and I will agree to disagree on that. Okay. And let me tell you why. They wouldn't have waited. If they've been coming here for thousands of years, they wouldn't have waited to take us over until we got it technologically advanced. They would have got us with when we had bows and arrows and spears. That's when they would have got us.
Maybe we're meaner.
Oh, I don't know. Jeff Harvey, welcome to SOR chat.
That's the other thing. She's right. Maybe they didn't need it then.
Maybe they didn't need the territory or whatever then, their resources.
Disagree. They would have taken us out by now. F.U. Zaddy, how you doing, buddy? Caged on the inside, how you doing? And
I think they were looking for stuff they might need in the
I
future.
think it was like a Star Trek that they explore stuff and then they, you know.
I like the theory, and the one theory that I do buy into, Jessica McCreary, how are you? Is when you have these people, these really pure, honest contactees that are out there, when they sit there and they tell you that the reason why the aliens haven't landed on the White House lawn is maybe they're not allowed to, because they do believe we are way too violent for what they want to do. Astral Fugitive, how you doing? That makes more sense to me than flying all over the universe and just stopping there. I don't want to believe people like Tom DeLonge who say, we got to nuke them. We got to nuke them. We got to put nukes up in space. And they're afraid of our nukes. Really?
Really? Yeah, it'd take them 2 seconds to get rid of our nukes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like watching, you know, it's like watching these, you know, I love the Marvel movies, but it's like when they talk about protecting the earth, we don't have the tech. These guys have the technology we don't have. They can circumvent anything we have. And another thing, I kind of agree with you on some of that, because why would you? And I've said this before, and you know how I feel about this. Why would you want humanity out there in the galaxy or in the universe? What good do we provide?
Exactly.
We destroy everything, and
We're
we
like
breed like rats.
We're like a bad toe fungus. We're like the gout of the universe.
We are the, you know what we are? We're the jock itch of the galaxy. That's what humanity is.
On that note, guys, big shout out to Jerence Carter. Was it your birthday today, Jerence?
Happy birthday.
If it is, we're going to sing happy birthday to you the next half hour. Thank you to Dutch Hank, Mickey, Kitty, and Lil Cam for the super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And here we go. Here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We're chasing down monsters and giants with Christian MacLeod, the Cryptid Gee, and his lovely assistant, Christina. Good to have you both here because we love it when you are here. Absolutely love it. And we want to say hello to all of you listening in and remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. From planet Earth, we have our good friend Christian MacLeod and Christina. They are from the American Cryptid and Paranormal Society, based out of somewhere in the Carolinas, near the Appalachian Mountains, where Christian sometimes will run around in his underwear saying, I'm a werewolf. I'm a werewolf. Good to have you guys back. Thank you.
Twice a month.
Twice a month. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You wanted to get into giants tonight. You wanted to get into giants tonight.
I did. I loved it. And here's why. I'm a huge fan. I don't know if you've read this, but I don't know if you guys can see this. This is the Genesis 6 Conspiracy by Gary Wayne. This guy is brilliant. I hope one day you can have him on the show because this guy's brilliant. He took 30 years to write this book, and he's a biblical scholar. And what he's done is he kind of correlates all the giants in history with the Nephilim, and he goes back and proves it biblically. And this is one of the reasons I'm such a firm believer in the Nephilim and things of that nature. But it all comes from Gary Wayne. He's a genius. But I think you can also, all of our modern sightings and everything like that, I think you can also correlate them with Nephilim, specifically Bigfoot, things of that nature. Maybe even Dogman, if you take that back. I also believe they're natural creatures, but I think they started off as Nephilim. I think they were offshoots of Nephilim. And I think over the generations, they've just lost some of their abilities. And I think that would even explain the foo-foo you believe in with Bigfoot about, they're going into different dimensions and things like that. The woo-woo, foo-foo. I'll call it what I want to call it. Thank you. And thank you for correcting me on air. That's how I learned. Anyway, I think that's how it's all inclusive. And I think just over the generations, they've just lost some of that ability and some still have it. And I think that explains why they do these things that they do. But I also think it all comes from the fact that they were Nephilim. Now, I know there's 100 million different reasons people disagree with that. But when you start looking at the giants in the Bible, I mean, there's 33 that they named in the Bible. Og, Magog, David, his brothers, all these, Goliath, his brothers, all these different giants that have been named in different places over the centuries. But what happened to them? Did we kill them all? Did the Israelites kill them all? I don't think so. I think a lot of them went underground. Like one thing Christina's going to talk about is the giant of Kandahar. To me, that's still a fascinating topic because we have never gotten any real information on that. No, I know you know all about that. And I'm sure most of your listeners are smart enough to have picked up on that over the years. But we keep getting more and more information off of that. And I think it's because as time goes by, people want that information. And they're less afraid of losing clearance and things like that because it was what 2012.
No, 2002 when it happened.
Yeah, 2002 when it happened, and then
2016 when the interview.
Yeah, 2016 when the interview came out. So I mean, that's a big space of time. So I doubt any of those people are active military right now.
Right.
They're probably retired. So maybe that's why we get this information out. But I think the Kandahar giant is a prime example of why none of this stuff is really discussed, because it's actually a scary story. And anytime you mention giants in the historic narrative, even in the North American indigenous population, giants aren't friendly. There's even a point in at one point in time, the Choctaw Nation, they actually fought with Bigfoot to keep the red-headed giants on the western side of the Mississippi. So there's all these stories that have gone out over the years and all this mythology. So when you've got that much, some's got to be true. I mean, it's just one of these things that not everyone can make. Not everyone's going to follow the same narrative, but I definitely believe that this all is biblical, and that's where you can trace all the Nephilim can be pretty much the source of what we call Bigfoot and other things today, Sasquatch. Unless it truly is a North American primate, or even a leftover from Gigantopithecus, but that wouldn't explain why it's so intelligent and why there's so many reports about it just plain vanishing and things of that nature.
I think that one of the big questions we need to answer is, what is a giant? Like, to me, at 5'8" 3/4, Shaquille O'Neal at 7'1" is a giant. Okay. A lot of these NBA players could be considered giants. I mean, there's only been one person in history that's come close to 9 feet.
Yeah.
And that was I believe the gentleman was 8'10".
No, I agree. My thing is, I always figure giants 10 foot up. That's just me. 10 foot up. That's what I'm calling a giant. I'm giving it a measurement. You want in on this or what? Ground floor. 10 feet is a giant.
Well, I mean, when we look at it, I mean, let me ask you this then. Why do so many cultures describe giants independently across the world, yet we don't seem to have any physical proof of them?
Well, I will tell you this right now. I'm a firm believer this all falls into the government stuff. They don't want us knowing. The Smithsonian Institute, when they were building the Battery Park Hotel in Asheville, allegedly, it was on a 90-foot Cherokee mound. And 3 days into the bulldozing, they started finding skeletons and human remains that were 8 to 9 foot tall. And then they shut down for 3 days. The Smithsonian gets here. They bring in their own train and their own cars, and they pretty much fill up 3 or 4 cars with their own antiquities and then disappear, and then they continue construction. So why would they do that? It's just they don't want people to know. And what if it's true that antediluvian giants were in Antarctica, and all that stuff you hear about is, what if all that's true? I mean, what are we, what's the basic premise for all that? It's the same concept. It's the same thing, since they've been talking about. They want global domination. So I mean, how would that work? I mean, how are you going to have a giant being globally dominant if they don't have the know-how or the technology? I mean, is it alien now at that point? I mean, are they from here, or are they Nephilim, or are they something else now? So there's all these different windows that open up when you start looking into this, because the truth of the matter is, we don't know. Because you're right. What is this? What's the criteria to be a giant? Is it 6 toes, 6 fingers, 6 toes? Is it double rows of teeth? Is it nocturnal vision? I mean, what is it that happens? When you
That's it right there.
There it is.
That's the criteria.
That's the one. That's the one, folks.
No, but I understand with what you're saying. But once again, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. They are stories about the Smithsonian. Mm-hmm. And what I don't understand is, look, we were very, very forthright about dinosaurs. We were very forthright about, other creatures that were out there. It doesn't make sense to hide these giant humanoids or Nephilim or whatever they may be. Nephilim obviously is a little bit more biblical, but you could get away with them by calling them giant apes or whatever it may be, some sort of hominid. Maybe it is Bigfoot. Maybe we came from Bigfoot. I don't know. But it doesn't make sense to hide the fact that the Smithsonian, because we always want to blame the Smithsonian on this and nobody else, because that's who we blame in this field. There is no proof that they have it.
But there's no proof they don't have it.
True.
So, I mean, again, you're dealing with an institution that has literally Lovelock Caves. Who came in?
Yeah.
Smithsonian. Ohio Mounds. Who comes in? Smithsonian. When they found the alleged giants in Tennessee, who comes in? Smithsonian. It's you can't just blame one agency without having all these years and all these decades without having some kind of proof. I will tell you, I read the newspaper article when the Smithsonian came to Asheville while they were digging. It's literally this big. It's a blurb, and that's it. And to this day, I don't know what to do with my copy of it. I'm sure it's somewhere around here somewhere, but you just don't know. I mean, frankly, I can see it why it would be a perfect place for them to do it, because they have the research and they have the ability for doctors and higher ups in the educational field to look at these things and scrutinize them and maybe analyze whether or not they're a threat or not. I think all this boils down to that. Honestly, it all boils down to safety. It really does. Let's just say Bigfoot's an Nephilim, and certain Bigfoot can do that dimensional rift you think they can do. Or they can just disappear like Robin says they can do, or they can mind speak. I can't believe I'm saying that. All right. Let's just say that ridiculous stuff is possible. Well, wouldn't you want to research that and find out how to not only be able to do it, but to countermount it if you had to? And that's where the government comes into play. Government's got one job, and it's keep its people safe. And by keeping us safe, that means keeping technology away from us that could pose a harm, to the greater population. I mean, what if these Egyptians, what if all the Egyptian, all the pyramids were built by giants, and they weren't built as pyramids, but they were like the nuclear reactors some people think they were, and we get all that technology and we find it all, and it's 1,000 years advanced on where we are now, and we're just going to play catch up. Who's going to be trusted with that technology if not the governments of the world? They're not going to let you. You think they're going to call Elon and say, "Hey, man, you want to build us some lightsabers? Give me a Tesla lightsaber?" It's not going to work that way. The government's going to hoard all that technology, and I think that's why they keep everything secret, specifically when it comes to these giants. Because what if we're at the point now with the DNA? We can create whatever we want in the DNA. We can have the custom babies. Already talking about that. Well, what if you inject the Nephilim DNA in there? So now what you're talking, you basically have like Star Trek 2 Wrath of Khan type people being made that are faster, smarter, more agile, bigger, live longer, than the rest of us. And you don't think they're going to want to take over? That's just the way it's going to be. So, I mean, this whole thing could be just a protective measure too. We just don't know. I mean, it's fun to speculate, but the truth is there's very few people who know.
All right, let's move on to another question here that I have for you, because I'm actually prepared for this. So what's the difference between giants and somebody like Andre the Giant or somebody like that who had gigantism?
But that's a genetic flaw. So that means it's in our DNA. So, maybe it's an offshoot of where we were, 10,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago. Maybe humans were bigger. Maybe we did evolve from Gigantopithecus. And we started shrinking. I don't know. I mean, that I'm not a geneticist.
But the difference has to be that they're consistently born that way, and it's not just a one in a group kind of occurrence.
Well, I mean, Dave made a good point. I think people are getting bigger. Look at all the people. Look at the NBA now as composed to it was back in the 80s. Look at all the people pushing 7 foot now than there were, 30 years ago. I mean, I honestly think people are getting bigger. So maybe maybe he's a genetic adaptation that's advanced. Maybe he's just, he's further advanced on the line than we are. We don't know it. They say that the aliens that they're basically, they look like they're, the big white Nordics. they're supposedly from Earth originally, and then they evolved into that. But look, they're all 7-8 foot tall, and all pretty. I mean, maybe that's what it's supposed to be.
I'm not a big basketball fan, but just to kind of go over, the average height in the NBA right now is 6'7".
Yeah.
Out of all the players in the NBA, there are between 30 and 39 players that are 7 feet plus.
But that's a lot of people. And how many people are in the NBA?
Well, there's 32 teams at 15 a roster.
All right, so and then divide that by that standard deviation. That's still a pretty good percentage of people 7 foot and higher.
Yeah.
Compared to where it was. Where was it 30 years ago?
Probably more in that 6'5". 6
I don't think 6'3", 6'4". How tall was Larry Bird? Larry Bird was like he was a giant in his time. He was what, 6'4", 6'5"? Yeah, you're right.
Well, I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was 7 feet.
No, you're right. Kareem was but he was the only one back then.
Well, there was a couple, not many.
All I'm saying is, I just think people are growing. I think that's the evolutionary status we're in.
Either way, let's talk about one of the more famous recent stories, the Kandahar giant.
Oh.
Now,
okay.
Go ahead, Christina.
The Kandahar giant was an event that happened in 2002. Allegedly happened in 2002. There's no proof, but I believe it from what I've read and from what I've read from these interviews. It happened during the Operation Enduring Freedom, in the Kandahar province, when the U.S. invaded Afghanistan. During this invasion and conflict, there was a group of soldiers that went missing while on patrol in the remote mountain region in Kandahar, in the south of Afghanistan. These group went completely missing. Nobody knew where they were. They lost communication with them, and they sent out a group to go look for them. Up in the mountains, what they finally found was a cave with scattered army equipment all around it. Some of it broken, some of it usable, some of it, but of multiple guys' equipment all over the place, and uniforms, but no sign of the missing soldiers. And then the giant came out of the cave, and a special ops unit, he threw a spear allegedly and killed one of the special ops guys on this team, on this recon team, to search for this unit. They never found any of the missing unit. Not one of those bodies was ever recovered, but they had to fire on this giant for 30 seconds with their 50 caliber weapons to actually bring him down. The first tales of him, that probably the most accurate, are that the giant was about 13 feet tall, had red hair, 6 fingers on each hand, and 2 rows of teeth. Kind of like a, sharp.
Sounds like you're describing Christian.
Wasn't too far off.
As the tale was told to other soldiers and, spread around, of course, things got exaggerated, and some of the people describe it as 15 feet, with leather moccasins, and they added a detail, who knows whether this, is actually true, but that he smelled like dead bodies. He smelled like decomp. And what happened was, this story, these guys were made to sign a 5-year non-disclosure agreement that they couldn't talk about it for 5 years, even after they got out of the military. Total non-disclosure on this. Then it got classified, and they were told they can't speak about it ever. So it got word of mouth around the military, and they knew they weren't supposed to tell anybody. Nobody's supposed to tell anybody, but a group of them decided, people need to know this. We can't keep this secret. And one of them, that called himself Mr. K, did an interview on YouTube in 2016 and told the story. and that was the first time that it was publicly aired. After that, Mr. K, the same person, was interviewed by L.A. Marzulli and talked about the Nephilim and agreed that it probably was something like that. But the story is incredible. And and they actually, Mr. K said that they loaded the body on a helicopter as soon as they had dispatched it, that the U.S. military came in a helicopter, picked up the body of the giant, took it away. It was never seen again. Nobody knows what they did with it, not even the special ops team that's supposed to have the highest clearance, which is what Mr. K is supposed to.
The rumors were it ended up at Wright Pat. That's what the rumors were. Or ended up at Wright Patterson with all the Roswell stuff.
Right.
I will say this. I've had troubles. This is one of those stories I want to believe. I really want to believe this, but I've had troubles with it. The reason why is when I first heard that story, it was a group of U.S. Army Rangers who went in there and discovered this. And I happen to have a friend who served near that time in Kandahar who was a U.S. Army Ranger. And I asked him about this story saying, hey, did you ever hear this story about the Kandahar giant? And he's like, no. And yet he was Special Forces Army Ranger. Now, I don't think he was playing me just because it was a private conversation and he's, not really into this kind of stuff. But I think something like that, where even if his fellow soldiers would have had that interaction with it, I think he would have heard about it, considering he was there around that time. So
Okay.
I struggle with this story. I want to believe it. Like I said, it's like the story of the Anubis dogs that were, found by a U.S. troop slashing Taliban people with their giant swords. These were 8-9 feet dogs. They were wearing armor and they had the big scythe type swords that they were, the Mediterranean type swords with the big hooks on the end of them. I want to believe that story too, because I do believe there is some high strangeness happening in those mountains. But it's hard though when we're going off of rumors, but I guess that's what we do. And that's always our starting point, isn't it?
Well, sometimes rumors, they're based in truth. I'm a huge. What's funny is I didn't know you had a run-in with the Ranger. I was doing a UFO Paracon maybe 8-10 years ago, and this topic came up, and it was a question I was asked a question. I said, was I a believer in the Kandahar giant? And I said, yes, I was. I still am. And when I got off stage, you do your thing, and I went back to my booth. And about 45 minutes later, this guy comes, an older guy. You can tell he was former military just by his, he was still in real good shape. He had like his M65 jacket, just a real cool guy. And he walked up to me, he goes, so you think the Kandahar giant's true? And I said, yes, sir. He goes, you're right, it is true. He goes, I was in Afghanistan when they found that thing. And he goes, and I was in the airport when they put it on the C-31 Hercules and sent it to Wright Pat. He said, he goes, everyone in that whole base knew exactly what was going on because when they dropped it, they didn't have it completely covered. The tarp had shifted during the movement when it was in the helicopter in the cargo net. So the tarp had shifted, and when they dropped it, they pretty much just put it down in the middle of the base because they wanted to, I guess that was the safest place to put it. And then they had everyone moving and grooving, and then they put it in a hangar. But it was exposed for probably 5 to 7 minutes. And that was the story I was told. I have no proof this is a true story. I believe the guy because he definitely looked military. He knew he knew the talk, he knew the lingo, he knew everything. And he did specifically mention that pilot's name. And I'm not at liberty to mention that right now, but I'll talk to you offline. But allegedly, he said the pilot's name, and that's the name I've heard several times. So I don't know. I believe it's true, just because it's a perfect place for them to hide.
And like I said, I want that story to be true. I totally want it to be true. It would be nice if people like that came out.
Well, yeah, but then, when you're worried about, getting an accident or losing your pension or anything like that, you can cross anyone but the IRS and the federal government.
And on that note, we're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. We're going to continue Giants and Monster Talk with Christian MacLeod and Christina from American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, guys, we are clear. I'm going to put you in the back for a few minutes, and we got about 5.5 minutes, okay? All right, be right back, guys. The cryptid gee. Such a cryptid gee. I am back. Let us go like this, and let's bring in the Guy. How you doing?
Guy.
Hello.
Le Guy.
Le Guy.
Le Guy.
All right. Let me just, if I missed anybody in the chat room here. All right. Kitty, thank you for a second super chat. Thank you, Kitty times two, Little Cam, Mickey, Dutch Hank, and Grant for the super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. If you have questions for Christian and Christina, please put them in capital letters. Keep it on topic for tonight. I would appreciate that. Or anything to do with monsters, because that's what we do. And we're caught up on everything. CaribouCon.com. You saw the poster. Get your tickets right now. Christian and Christina will be there.
Okay.
And you'll find Christian with usually a Guinness in hand walking around.
They do it for free.
Right? We got 10 seconds, everybody. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. And here we go. Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Galimatius. Galimatius is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Each and every month, we have Christian MacLeod and Christina come in from the American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. They are based out of the Carolinas near the Appalachian Mountains. Is it Appalachian or Appalachian?
I call it Appalachian, but I remember I'm a Yankee, so that's how I pronounce it.
All right. Well, that's where they're from, and they chase down all monsters and legends. And tonight we're talking about giants. Giants, and right before the break, we were talking about the giants of Kandahar. But over time, people and almost every society is out there, Christian, has had legends of giants. They've portrayed them as magical at times. They've portrayed them as evil. They've portrayed them as everything we could think of. It's really hard to kind of decipher what they are if we have so many different renderings of them.
I think, but you can look at the composite on all cultures, and they're all pretty much going to say it definitely evil. What are you laughing about?
Paramarv, the Southerners pronounce it hills.
Yes, Paramarv knows. I'm not arguing Paramarv, but none of the stories they're never nice. You know, I mean, these are not good entities. They're either trying to eat us, destroy us, or rule us. So it never ends out well for anyone being having a giant run in or running in with giants. I've never read any folklore where that ends well for anyone. Yeah. The good ones, the giants don't have a good ending, you know, but that's few and far between. I mean, even in South America, you know, the stories natives have in the jungle of giants, and all they were ever trying to do is run from them so they wouldn't get eaten, you know, or destroyed or killed for no reason. So I don't think giants have ever either been inherently good globally. And one of the reasons for that is, again, I go back to the Nephilim thing, where they just have this inborn instinct that they want to rule or kill, maim, and destroy, and that's all they want to do. So, I mean, that doesn't bode well for the rest of us.
or they see us as a different species. They see us the way we see cattle
Yeah,
as food,
I mean that's possible.
lesser beings.
And
So would you consider, would
Okay.
either of you then consider Bigfoot to be part of the giants category?
you know what? It depends on the Bigfoot. I think they have individual. I think they're just like this. I think they have their own personalities. I think you got good ones and you got bad ones. And I think it's the same thing with dogmen, cynocephali. I honestly think that's why you have so many people that disappear in the wilderness and then on the trails and things like that. Is because I think you have that subgroup of Bigfoot or dogmen that just look at us like we're cattle, and they see us in the boom. That's it. It's lunch.
I wouldn't put them in the giants category. I would say that they're not. Giants are almost inherently a threat and bad, whereas Bigfoot can be a threat or not, and mostly not. Same with dogman. Mostly they don't do any harm.
I mean, I definitely think they're a different thing. And when you look over the global aspect of all these giants and all the sightings, for some reason all the mean ones are redheaded. Like there are these redheaded giants with the 6 fingers, 6 toes, and double rows of teeth. Why would you have double rows of teeth? That's terrifying. I mean, it's like a great white shark. So I mean, I don't understand why they would have that. But
it's like they're genetically another species. I mean,
well, I mean, I just like you said, I'm sorry,
I
was reading comments, and I think sometimes I think it's misconception, but how much proof do we have that giants even existed if it's not from the biblical text or just storytelling or past mythologies? I mean, we don't have any modern ones. Every once in a while I'll see like a YouTube blurb, there'll be like a giant grabbing a horse in the Grand Canyon and then disappear into a cave or something like that. But I don't know. I don't think Bigfoot and giants are the same thing. I think they're two different species. Now, remember, we have an old friend of ours that used to call them mountain giants. And I don't know if you're mentioning his name or not, but he did a whole thing on that. And he was convinced that they lived up in Minnesota in the mountains and things like that. But I don't know. I'd have to say they're totally different species. You do see red-headed Bigfoot or red-haired Bigfoot, but those are usually, the type 2s. And they're in the Appalachia or, California or sometimes in the Midwest, but they're not really seen as much as the type 1s or the type 3s. So, I mean, there could be something. There could be a genetic link there. I just don't know.
Well, the reason why I think it's very interesting is because a lot of times you hear the more north you go, the bigger the creatures get.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at, let's use moose and bear as an example. Okay,
Yeah.
grizzly bears and black bears, the more you head south, they're smaller.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you head north into British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, into the territories, into Alaska, the bears get bigger. Then you have Kodiak bears, you have brown bears, you have polar bears, which are absolutely massive. Like the moose in my area are around, a big one is around 1,500 pounds. You go up towards Alaska and you get the Alaskan moose or the Yukon moose, they're over 2,000 pounds. Like everything seems to get bigger the more north you go. And there have been alleged sightings of giant footprints, as well as sightings of the Sasquatch that could be anywhere between, 12 feet to 20 feet tall. And that's quite a large creature, Christian.
That's a huge 20 foot. How big is 20 foot tall? I mean, think about that.
That's 2 stories.
Yeah, I mean, and you're talking about the Bergman rule. The Bergman rule states that the higher you go in elevation, the higher north you go, the bigger animals are. And they were talking about fish and whales, things like that. But you're absolutely right. I'm from Maine originally, and we pretty much had a big moose up there was 1,500 pounds. But when you hit Alaska or up where you guys are, the colder it gets, Bergman's rule kicks in. But I also believe that 20 foot for a Bigfoot. I mean, how many reports have we had over the years? I mean, would that be different? Would that then be a mountain giant, or would that be something different?
Well, maybe
an ogre.
an adaptation, like this says.
Adaptation.
I mean, they have to. The larger body makes them better at regulating their temperature, so they
Yeah.
can live in colder
Yeah, it's
environments.
Bergman's rule. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have more fat and stuff, energy reserves to create heat.
Well, they have bigger chests too because they can take in the air and
Right.
warm it up. The bigger, the wider your chest is, the warmer you can get your air. But it's just possible. Yeah, I don't think there's 20-foot Bigfoots. I don't think they're out there. I think that's a giant. I think it's something else.
Even in Alaska and stuff.
Do you know how big 20 feet is?
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
I mean, that's huge. I mean, that's literally the top of the building.
Yeah.
I mean, how many calories a day would that take to feed? I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
that's the other thing. How is that? What's that thing eating, and how much? I mean, I know, in Alaska there's ample food sources, but I mean, how many of those could you have before you start having issues?
Yeah.
I mean, so would there be a breeding population, or is it just one or two left? It's just that's
like mammals of the last ice age when we
Exactly,
had
yeah.
mastodons and
everything was a lot bigger,
smilodons.
but the atmosphere was different too. There's
Right.
more oxygen.
O3.
Well, it is very interesting because, we do know that other creatures, the more north you go, are larger. I mean, there have been people who claim that they've found 32-inch prints. There have been people who claim that they have found 25, 26-inch prints. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, to use Shaquille O'Neal as an example once again, I mean, he wears a size 22 shoe?
Yeah.
Now granted, his foot is going to be much more narrow than a Sasquatch. But, I mean, humans can have feet that big.
I mean, anything, like I said, Dave, anything's possible. I'm just looking at the realm of possibility for, why nature would allow that and how it would survive. I always look at it that way. What's the purpose of that specific animal or slash human or whatever you want to call it, or hybrid? What would that purpose, be for? Why would it be here? What would it be? What was his mission be? What's it going to eat, and how much is it going to eat? And how's it going to feed itself? And if there are a bunch of them, how they're going to feed themselves? It all boils down to resources and natural use.
Well, I mean, if you take down the average deer, you're going to get 100 pounds plus of meat out of that.
Yeah, but if you're 20 foot tall,
how many deer would you need to eat a day?
Probably 5 or 6, easy. I mean, that's huge. That's probably 100,000 calories a day. Something like that would need just to fuel itself.
Keep
itself warm.
Could be.
I mean, it's just, you look at it that way. Okay. Shaq is a Freemason. Yes, he is.
All right. Do you think then that giants are the offspring of humans or extraterrestrials or fallen angels?
See, and that's a great question, because the truth is, I'm torn, because I believe in the Nephilim, but I also believe that it's possible for giants to be an offshoot of some experiments from aliens. I believe that's totally possible. When they talk about how all the flesh and all the earth of all the things were corrupt in Noah's time, it doesn't specifically just say it was from giants or the Nephilim. I mean, it could have been from alien interference too. So there's a possibility you had both. It just doesn't mention it. And the reasons why I always say, aliens are part of God's creation is, if you read the Nicene Creed, God created the things seen, visible, invisible, and seen and unseen, and whatever, and on all the galaxies and all the universe. So that's why I don't have a problem with this in a religious aspect, because I believe God made everything. So if there was interference by, alien civilizations or things like that, I'm totally willing to believe in that or listen to that theory if it makes sense and if we have some kind of proof. But who's to say they weren't interfering back then? Maybe they wanted the corruption of the earth because they wanted to take over the earth. We don't know what the resource needs were for them. I mean, but it's totally possible. I would totally believe alien intervention today with genetic manipulation. I mean, to me, it makes more sense. I look at, we're about the same age, Dave. To think, what did a cell phone look like when we were kids?
Oh, yes.
A Dixie cup on a string.
I remember when pagers came out, how cool that was. and look at the technology we have now. I mean, the advancements genetically, and I don't even think we really know what we have technology wise. That's a whole different conversation. What do we really have that the government doesn't tell us? Are they 60 or 80 years ahead of what we have, or we don't know?
At least 10 to 20 years.
It's more than that. It's more than that. I mean, come on, just from that one source we have.
Right.
So I mean, it's just astonishing. But I can totally believe that the aliens would have something to do with genetic manipulation. But again, I totally believe that the real Nephilim are from the Bible.
What do you think it would take scientifically to prove giants once existed?
A giant. A literal. I think you need a living, breathing. Here I am. Feed me, and I won't eat anyone.
Well, really, we just need some source of DNA that was preserved.
Yeah, but here, okay, when you look at all the stuff that's going on in Antarctica, how many stories have you heard about Antarctica having Nebuchadnezzar frozen in a time capsule, or giants of men renowned? They're just frozen. They're completely catatonic. They're in a suspension chamber and they're waiting to come back and take over. That is a huge thing in Antarctica. So I mean, what if that's true? And what if they're just waiting and then they're going to come out and take over again? How are we going to stop them? What if there's literally we don't? First of all, we have no idea what's in Antarctica. We have no idea how much space is down there. I mean, we're not allowed to know. So what if there's actually armies in the hyperbaric chambers or some kind of sleep chambers waiting, for the clock to hit, to wake everyone up and say, okay, it's go time, and just take over? We don't know that's not going to happen, and it's possible. But I mean, giants are never going to be our friends. They're never going to be people that want to hang out with us and share our technology and do this. They want to rule us, or they want to destroy us, or they want to eat us. I mean, that's it. There's no other ifs, ands, buts about it. So I've always been scared about things like this, because if that was actually true, if the Genesis 6 conspiracy is true, and they are waiting, and they are, using secret organizations to, pick and choose what they want to do, and buying specific businesses that go into biochemistry and things like that, and have all this incredible wealth, then, is that all true? Is that, there's just so much to think about. And when you start talking about it rationally, it sounds like you're insane. It really does. But when you start thinking about it and you give it a little bit of credence, and you think, well, wait, if this is true, then maybe that's true. Who's to say? I mean, who's to say? It's one of these things that it's this conspiracy that scares me, because if it's true, I don't want this to be true. I don't want the fact that giants could come back and take over to be true, because we'd have no way to stop them.
Well, we need to find one first.
Yeah, but what if there's a bunch? Like I said, what if what they say about Antarctica is true?
Well, I mean, we already know Megatron is in there, so what are you worried about?
Hey, man.
It's funny that you say that. I was just thinking that these discussions remind me of when I used to sit around with my geek friends and talk about comic books, and what if this one went up against this one?
I mean, I guess if we had, like, what are those robot suits called?
Oh, the Cybertronic, the Iron Man suit?
No, the big ones, Robotech. I guess if we had a bunch of Robotech suits, would be all right.
Like he used in the new Predator movie?
Yeah.
Those are awesome.
We had something like that, I guess would be all right. It's just, we just, we don't have any way to stand and fight for ourselves when it comes to those kind of things. Because what if they're bulletproof? The original Nephilim, they were said to shine like they, had scales on them. Have you ever read a description of the original Nephilim?
No.
They glowed. They had serpent eyes. And that was generation one. That was the most powerful. And they're terrifying. They're very reptilian looking. So what if those?
And here I thought that was you after midnight.
No, Wolf out. Remember? But that would be terrifying, because what if, like, he's about all the stories about reptoids, reptilians secretly running the world, the reptilian bloodlines. What if all that's true?
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
We have 4.5 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Christian MacLeod and Christina are here from American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. and we're talking about giants tonight. Another question for you regarding this. You know, do you think that a giant human could even be physically viable given gravity, bone density, and the fact of, like you said, the caloric intake they would need in order to survive?
Definitely. I think, genetically, I think it's very possible. You know, you look at mitochondrial dwarfs. I mean, that's the opposite in the spectrum. But mitochondrial dwarfs, you know, they're genetically they're smaller, but everything's proportional. So what if you take that to the next level on the other side? So then you have giants that, as long as they're, you know, genetically anatomical, they'd be fine. Again, the muscular structure and everything. A lot of people, I've said this a million times with Bigfoot too. Everyone tends to underestimate the weight of a Bigfoot or a Dogman. Okay, you have to have a skeletal structure that will support that frame. And to have that, you have to have the bone density and the muscular just to hold everything together. And that's always going to weigh more. So, you know, if you have an 8-9 foot Sasquatch, that thing's 1,500 pounds. People don't get that. Those 300-400 pounds. That's they couldn't stand. Their bones would break. So it's muscle density, bone density, and all that. So you're absolutely right with that. But it's caloric intake, and I'm sure it is. That's why when you read about all these white-tailed deer being found, most of the meat's left behind, but the organs are, they're gone. So, you know, that's the highest dense nutrition, you know?
I think that they'd have to be a very different structure in DNA. Like you said, they have to have the stronger, but I think that goes along with the fact that they're always described as having 2 rows of teeth and 6 fingers. They have completely different DNA and structure. So it's not like with Andre the Giant, when he started getting really big, his was because of a disorder. So he got horrible arthritis and his bones were getting thinner and everything, because it was his DNA was saying he should be much smaller, but his disease made him bigger. For them, I think their DNA would be programmed to make them that size. So their DNA being different, like it gives them 2 rows of teeth, would also give them the thicker bones, the thicker musculature and joints that they need to support the frame.
Well, that would mean that it's a completely different species and nothing humanoid about it.
Right.
Well, like I said,
except for the appearance.
If they are Nephilim and they're part divine, fallen angels, that's what you're going to get. We have no idea what the divine even can possibly, constructed of. So I mean,
we don't even know that that's bone inside there. That could be something completely different for them.
Exactly. We just don't know. I mean, they could have fibrous bones, like birds, except stronger. We just don't know.
They could have diamond in there for all we know.
For all we know. Who knows?
Well, it does make a difference in trying to figure out what these are. But I mean, do you think then that they are still roaming the planet in certain spots? Like we did talk about Kandahar, the Middle East, but there is still a lot of desolate area around the world, especially in northern regions of Canada, of Russia, the 2 most northern countries out there, even in the Scandinavian countries up north where there is little to no population.
I totally think that if they are real, they're still alive, or if they were real, they're still alive. And just from all the legends, and you're right. I think that being colder areas, Canada, again, people don't realize how big your country is, man, and how underdeveloped it is. Canada's huge. Like how isn't Canada comparable size-wise to the United States as far as
Canada's bigger than
Canada is almost double the size.
Is it? Okay, so think about all that size, all that space, and then South America, you've got the legend of the Patagonia giants and things like that. And then even when you come down in the northern, southern part of Ohio, things like that, you had the giant mountains and things like that. But they all had this one thing in common is they used to migrate up north. So that seems to be a very a strategical part of their plan. If they are alive, they are probably migrated and they are probably living up north. But think about that, and that up in there in your area where you have nothing but mountains and woods and forests, what could be up there? Nothing would even find it. I mean, all
I know is that if I'm out in the forest and I see a 12, 14 foot giant come stomping through and pushing trees down, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah!
Space Out Radio. We have Christian MacLeod and Christina for another 30 minutes. Audience questions next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear.
We're gonna have to do a part 2 on this one.
You're a part 2.
You I haven't gotten to the stuff I marked down in my books. Yeah, don't you even try. Have you ever read this?
What do you want to get to before we get to audience questions?
Oh, I don't care. Whatever you want, man. I'm good. I'm just saying personally, have you ever read this?
No.
Do yourself a favor. It's like $20 on Amazon. This is one of the best reference books for Bigfoot. Thank you. For Bigfoot, Nephilim. And the guy is brilliant. Gary Wayne, once you start reading this, I have tried to get in touch with this guy, I don't know how many times, to interview him. He's seriously, the guy's brilliant. And he'd be awesome on this show. Awesome. Because he's got a great sense of humor too.
Yeah, send me his info.
You know, our buddy Chris, I think our buddy Chris Chastain talked to him. You remember him?
No, I don't
He's
know.
one of Robin's minions. He's a good guy.
No, I don't think I've ever met him.
I thought you did. I think you met him 2 years ago.
Oh.
Chris
Maybe.
Oh.
Snow Baby 94. It's called The Genesis 6 Conspiracy by Gary Wayne.
Not Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Gary Wayne.
Yeah, Gary Wayne.
Blue on black.
Boom, boom, boom. I am so psyched for going up there.
Caribou Con.
Caribou Con.
I'm so excited to get you up here.
Moose.
So excited to get you up here. Oh, I'm going to need something from you guys.
Yeah.
I need you guys to text me about a 20-second video, 20 to 30-second video, introducing yourselves, what you're going to be speaking on, and how you're excited to be at Caribou Con this September.
No problem, man. We'll have it for you tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah, that'd be
We're
great.
going to wear jumpsuits.
I hope so. You guys we're talking to people here that use matching tracksuits to go out for ice cream.
So we invented the sweatpants and flannel look.
Yes, and
Together.
a trench coat.
And the trench. I did.
The trench coat.
I did invent.
And a fedora.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is.
Yeah,
I
where
do
is your fedora tonight?
Where's your? Sure, her fedora's hanging up by the. Oh, you brought it in?
No, I'll go get it.
Oh, she's going to get it for you. I thought it was in here.
Yeah, I refuse to move on in this show without the fedora.
I understand. Man's got to have his limits. I wore my HK hat for you. My Heckler Koch.
I wore my Texas hat.
I know, I saw that.
There it is.
There it
I
is.
love that hat on you.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a nice blue.
Yay.
See, look at how cool their audience is. He's got Amazon where you can buy it.
Yeah, that's Paramarv.
Marv is awesome.
Paramount. I want to buy Paramount a beer.
Paramount,
Yeah.
but
Is he going to be there?
No, I don't know if Paramarv's coming up for it, but you got to be careful.
Better make sure.
Got the six-toed thing going on, right?
I will give Paramount, if you show up, I will give you this Reese's peanut butter egg left over from Easter. All right? I'll put your name on it. I'll keep her from eating it. I'll put your name on it.
he can't keep
It'll go
eating it.
right into my Easter basket. Okay?
He complained I didn't get him an Easter basket, so I had to go get him a basket of Easter stuff. And he liked to stitch. So we got a stitch Easter basket.
I'd prefer that to a beard. No problem. Marv, just make it happen. All you got to show up.
All right. We got 30,
American peanut butter cup.
30 seconds here. I want to say a big thank you to Kitty Caddywhack ×2, Mickey, Dutch Hank, Grant, and Little Cam for the super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. And we're going to get going here with audience questions next. We are into the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Christian MacLeod and Christina will be with us here momentarily to take some audience questions. But first, we want to remind all of you that we love it that you are here tuning us in nightly on this show. We love doing it. And if you ever have any questions or comments, you can always email us at info@spacedoutradio.com. Info@spacedoutradio.com. Let's get right to audience questions here for Christina and the Cryptid Gee. Start off with Jerry tonight. Kandahar question is, where are the rest of the clan of giants? You think they went through a portal?
That's a great question. I think that they probably live in other caves there that just didn't get explored.
Well, I think what happened is when the military got there and they got the rescue mission done, I think they blew up the cave and they sealed that one. So I'm probably sure they went into different cave systems.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure they're alive and kicking. They're just in a different place right now. I don't think they have portals. Again, they just seem primitive. That's just the only word I have for them.
Well, I think the other thing too is, we don't know. Just looking at even in the war zones that were there, the amount of tunnels that were in the caves,
exactly,
in the mountains. They went on for miles.
Osama bin Laden hid out in those kind of caves for how long that we couldn't find him.
Oh yeah, it was in there.
There's crazy amounts of cave systems over there that you can't even imagine if you haven't seen it. So I think they know the territory and they're better at hiding and finding.
Well, it's their home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at it, if you take a country like Afghanistan that has literally been at war for 400 years,
mm-hmm.
Okay, they have bored those caves for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
And they've made, like you said, they've rooted the system, that there's so many different paths and ways to get in and out. It would take you years to walk all those caves.
There could be thousands and thousands of tunnels and thousands of miles.
And tunnels connecting one cave to another, one system to another.
And it's all pitch black. There's no light there. So, they can obviously see in the dark. So again, that's another, advantage they have. So, and the other story, there was another part of the story where they went to blow up the cave system and they tracked a few more of those giants down, but they were pinned down and they had to get out of there. Then they blew the cave mouth, and then that's all they did. But that's another story. I don't know how true that is, but that was part of the story too.
Well, let's get to our next question here. This one comes from Zaddy, who is asking, is Bigfoot a product of a man mating with a bird and beast? I don't know where that came from, but I'm going to ask it anyways.
I see the bird in there.
I don't know. I doubt it. But if you do the Ketchum DNA studies, 100,000 years ago, it was a nuclear DNA with a Mediterranean woman and an unknown man. So, that fits the time frame for, the Nephilim. But I'm not sure where the bird comes in.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the bird. I've never seen a Bigfoot with feathers.
Well, they did the Sasquatch with wings thing in Texas, maybe, but they usually they're referred to as bat squatch in Texas because they have these large primates with bat wings. again, I don't think that's even remotely. I think someone was drinking a little.
Let's move on. Let's go to Jaquetta, who is next. Do you think Petra was built by giants?
It's possible.
Possibly, very possibly.
I mean, that would explain, how those intricate things got done at such a high level.
Yeah.
The detail in Petra is just fascinating. That's one place I would just love to go
Oh
hang out
my
in.
gosh, just to see that in person and
Just
be
to go there,
there with that history would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Well, for people who don't know what Petra is, I believe it's in Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a famous ancient archaeological city in southern Jordan, renowned for its rock-cut architecture, specific structures.
If you look at Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, when they go to get the Grail, they're actually going into Petra.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome. Actually, it was in Transformers too, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that big facade on the wall
Yeah.
in Jordan is just amazing. Oh, so beautiful.
Jerry would like to know, in Greek culture, there is a legend of Amazon women. Do you think those stories are based on real encounters of powerful women as a way to demonize their equality in ancient societies?
I hope so.
I don't think so. I think there really could have been a group of large women.
Yeah, that's why they lived on Paradise Island. Because a bunch. Let's think about this for a second. All right, bunch of Amazon women. That all gorgeous, brown hair, black hair, blue eyes. Wonder where that combo came from. But anyway, yeah, I don't. It's very possible. I mean, they had women soldiers. They had like special forces for women in the Greeks and even in other cultures where they were considered some of the best warriors ever. So who's to say that's not possible? I don't think they were demonized back then. I think they had more equality. Look at the way women in Sparta were treated. They were considered equals. They could divorce husbands and keep the property. They decided what was going to be the child's future. So I mean that's more of a matriarchy than anything. So I don't know. It's very possible. It would not surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me if a group of women who wanted to be warriors, who had that in them, would break off and be separate. I can completely see that happening.
I mean, especially if they were well trained, and then they continue to just train younger and younger people to advance the ranks.
And I can see them feeling like they had to be the best they could possibly be to prove themselves against these other groups. So I can see them really stepping into their training and muscle building and everything. So I could see them being a force to contend with.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally possible. I mean, look at Boudica, when she was running the wars against the Romans,
Yep.
She had tribes of women that were, or not tribes, but she had, legions of women and troops
squads.
of women. Yeah, so totally possible.
I love Amazon women. I'm not going to lie.
I just don't want to say the wrong thing. I want you to beat up.
I don't mean to sound misogynistic or anything, but
I do.
During my true story, during my radio days when I worked in Vancouver, afterwards we'd usually go to this famous bar in Vancouver called the Roxy. And for like 30 years straight, the Roxy is voted the #1 bar by NHL hockey players, right? And I had 2 friends, not girlfriends or anything, but they were female and friends. So here's Davy, short, pudgy at 5'8". One of them was a model. She was 6'2", and the other one was 6'1.5". And both of them always wore stiletto heels, making them at around 6'5". And they would dote on me. They would dote on me like I was just some
complaining about that
little troll back then. Yeah, my beard wasn't as long, and I didn't have white in my hair back then, but just reminded me of some good times. So let's go to Erica. Do you think there is truth in folklore, like Jack and the Beanstalk? Jack had to climb up into the sky to where the giants lived.
I mean, if the beanstalk was a metaphor for like, an attachment to a spaceship or something like that, it's possible. But I don't think
or a way to get up into a cave that's up at the top of a mountain.
Yeah, I mean, something like that. I mean, that's possible.
Something big could get to, but he couldn't get to it without the beanstalk.
I don't think anything in the sky, that's like, they say, oh, castles in the sky. If that's folklore and mythos, I think that's some kind of spaceship. So if they were tethered to the earth somehow, or there was, maybe they had some kind of bridge to the earth, or, a lift system, maybe. But I'm sure there was giants killed. I'm sure maybe aliens got killed because they underestimated the human race, or they underestimated the humans era. I'm sure that's possibly happened. Or they got arrogant, thought their technology could, keep them from, the human brain, which is we're pretty crafty when we need to be, especially when our life's on the line. So I think that's totally possible. I don't think they live in the sky. I think that's probably just a metaphor for a ship, or maybe a cave.
Dimension of the clouds. But to get to the top of a mountain where a big cave is, I could totally see that.
All right, let's move on to the next one. We got to do a show on nursery rhymes one day.
Oh, I love that.
Nursery rhymes are actually quite creepy.
Yeah, they are. Look at Jack and Jill.
And fairy tales. I love to do one on fairy tales.
Jose is asking, I'm remembering that when very large people throughout our history, for whatever reason, they wouldn't live too long. So how viable is it even to survive biologically being of that stature?
Well, very large people, mostly in human society and human DNA, are very large either because they have a pituitary tumor or they have a disease of gigantism. So that doesn't give them the structure to get that large and to maintain it. What happens is that they have a heart that is the same size as yours and mine. They have a circulatory system that expands, and that heart is pumping harder. Their bones keep growing, but the rest of them doesn't really match to fit.
They're not genetically capable to maintain their size.
Right. They get horrible arthritis. They get thinning bones. They can't stand. They medically have problems.
They're exactly the reason why they are is they're from either I hate saying disease, but it's a genetic flaw. Whereas a giant hasn't got those issues. It was genetically designed to be a giant. So the circulatory system is comparable to the size of what it's going to be. It'd be like, Christine's right. It'd be like us putting a chicken heart into a goat. It's just not going to work. The size difference isn't,
right.
It's not going to work.
But for an actual giant that was born to be a giant, their DNA says they're a giant. Their heart is going to be proportionally as big as they are, and so will the rest of their organs and tissues will be normal size for them. It will be proportional for them.
We got about 10 minutes left with you guys tonight as we have Christian MacLeod and Christina from American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. Let's get into some of the reports you guys have had recently come in. You guys get reports on a daily basis of weird and high strangeness. What are some of the good ones that you've got?
Okay, well, this was an interesting one. About 3-4 weeks ago, we got a report of a 9-foot werewolf in downtown Asheville that was at 80 Broadway. That's his address. And the funny thing about that is we were at 80 Broadway on Friday night doing our ghost tour, and we saw no 9-foot werewolf, but we had about 2 or 3 sightings. We've had some very weird paranormal sightings as of lately in Asheville. A lot of, we have an entity up here we have a bridge called Helen's Bridge, but there's an entity referred to as Helen, and she's the woman that killed herself on the bridge. But sometimes she's referred to as the Bowcatcher Woman in White, and we've had several stories about her in the last couple of weeks.
Every time it gets cold.
Yeah, and it's been very active on Church Street. We've had some issues. There's been a lot of paranormal activity. I've had very few. We've had 1 or 2 Bigfoot and Dogman reports as of lately, but nothing like we could really investigate. One of them was an allegation. The other one was allegedly seen on the Parkway as they were driving. But we tend to get more paranormal reports than cryptid reports this time of year anyway. When we get into May, June, July, our cryptid reports tend to get a lot higher. But it's been more paranormal than anything. But it has been active. There's been a lot of things going on. I think one of the reasons why the cryptid reports are so low is because our weather has been so wacky. I mean, it was 2 weeks ago, it was almost 70 degrees on our tours, and tonight it was in the 40s. You know, and it's like, is winter gone? Is it back? What's it doing? And, you know, it's very transitional for the cryptids, I think. And I think the animal life and the cryptids are a little confused about what the weather is.
Oh, definitely.
And what time to wake up and start migrating. So yeah. I think that's part of the issue we're having too.
Well, let's get back to this werewolf story. You know, because it's weird. Over the last 3-4 months, there seems to be an increase all across North America of werewolf sightings, not dogman sightings, werewolf sightings. What do you think is stirring this up right now?
I honestly think it's one of these things where it's cyclical. Okay, Asheville, where we work, is ground zero for where the Cherokee Nation, the Scots, the Irish came together, and that's where their medicine formed. That's when, you know, their medicine people, mountain magic, all these things kind of came from. And that's also where the Cherokee version of the Skinwalker was allegedly born. Now, that does kind of transcribe with some of the folklore mythos. I'm not an expert on that. I've been told that. I've read things that make me believe that. I mean, the Devil's Courthouse is 20 miles away down in Asheville, and that's considered home to Sukaloo and his minions up in Pisgah, and that's actually a national park. So that folklore is just saturated here. Up in Silva, you know, you have Judicella Rock, which is right there. That's, you know, Judicella was basically another giant. But it's one of these things where it's just fascinating because these werewolf stories are coming on. In fact, I've got another one here about one that was seen in downtown Asheville in the 30s, and it was at the Jackson Building. And basically what happened is the iconic 114-foot Jackson Building in downtown Asheville is notoriously haunted by a jump spot marked the bullseye sidewalk. Yet 1930s, staff at the building told of a shifting figure that could climb the exterior of the brickwork faster than any human, and believed to be a ghostly apparition until they saw it up close. And what they said, saw they couldn't believe it was a werewolf, and it happened to leap to its alleged death before the police were notified. And when the police got there, there was no body. So those stories have been going on since the 30s, and Asheville specifically. But I think all, you know, cities have some kind of folklore mythos that stem from Native American folklore.
I think the rise in reports is a rise in dogman sightings that people don't know what to call.
I mean, how do you tell the difference?
I think somebody looks at a dogman who is intelligent enough to have expressions and maybe even vocalizations that sound intelligent and human. I think anybody looks at that and has hands that can point at you and imitate your movements. I think anybody that looks at that isn't a paranormal encrypted investigator or part of this lingo, somebody that's a viewer of this channel, anybody else is going to say that's a werewolf because that's what their programming is. That's the word that they've heard. That's what they've seen in movies that looks like this.
That's all they can compare to. Yeah, that's all they can compare to.
I looked back at all of the reports that we found on YouTube, all of the ones that we found. None of them described seeing any transformation happening from human to werewolf or back. None of them saw any human component or transformation in it, and none of them reported seeing any human clothes or apparel of any kind. They didn't see ripped T-shirt on them or you know, anything that would indicate that they were human. They just are assuming it. I think 90% at least of these stories have to be dogman sightings.
I want to get to a weird story here in the last 5 minutes. I don't know if you've heard this one, but this one's kind of been all over the news. A mother from Oklahoma was severely injured by an unknown animal on March 29th while her husband urgently awaits a new kidney and is on dialysis.
Right.
Alicia Maxey was
Blanco.
discovered.
Yeah.
Let
Blanco,
me,
Oklahoma.
let me just finish the story so that way everybody knows what I'm talking about here. Alicia Maxey was discovered mauled in Blanco, Oklahoma by the homeowner of the property who happened to be an EMT. The Pittsburgh County Sheriff's Office is awaiting with Oklahoma Wildlife Services to identify the animal based on the severity of Maxey's wounds, per the outlet. Maxey told her sister-in-law, Kat, that she heard a deep growl right before being attacked, per the outlet. Something just pounced on her and knocked her to the ground. She said it was dog-like, what she described, but she didn't say it was certainly a dog. I'm in too much pain to say anything right now, Maxey mentioned in between surgeries. There's a GoFundMe account to assist her in her recovery. The homeowners discovered her unconscious and bloody with the dog still present, Kelly claimed in the GoFundMe. They immediately called 911, and Alicia was rushed to St. John's in Tulsa for emergency care. The trauma and injuries she suffered left our entire family in shock, and Alicia now faces a long and difficult recovery. I mean, there are some big dogs out there. There are.
Listen, I'm not trying to cut you off, but I heard the interview with the sheriff right before we went on air with you, and it was on Monster 911, and it was recorded. The sheriff point blank said, in his 30 years, he has never seen anything like this. He doesn't know what did it. He said the wounds were so bad that she's got to have 5 more surgeries just to keep her right arm. And on top of that, all of her clothes were ripped off, all of them. They've all been sent to the state for DNA testing. And apparently the tracks around the body are completely foreign to everyone. And no one's saying anything, but the sheriff, he sounded like a real cool guy. He was very much on board. He was talking to Lance, and he told him point blank, they've never seen anything like this. The family is in total shock, and the woman just can't speak. She's in so much pain. They've got her. She already had 3 surgeries, I think.
And she might have been slashed.
Yeah, she said they slashed her, and her right arm was almost completely torn off. And apparently there was a lot of skin missing. So it sounds like whatever got her ate some of her. But it was just a horrible, horrible scene. But I'm thinking that's definitely. There was also something else that happened. Before, all she remembers hearing is the growl, and then she heard someone shoot a gun, and then she got attacked. So there was a massive gunshot. That was the last thing she remembers. So she heard the growl, then she heard the gunshot. So apparently, I think someone probably was looking out and saw this attack happen and shot at it, and that's why it left. But the damage has already been done. I mean, she is not in good shape. The whole family, if people have a heart, find that GoFundMe account and donate what you can, because that poor woman, and again, her husband's waiting for a kidney. I mean, how hard. She was looking for a job. She was going up to this specific place where she was at to look for work, and this is what happened to her.
Poor woman.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Do you have anybody in that area who is investigating it?
I can call Lance. I don't know if he'll call me back, but he's got he's a real good guy up there. But it's a very, very strange set of circumstances, and to have the sheriff come on and say point blank, after 30 years, we've never seen anything like this. And the clothes had blood and saliva. They knew it had saliva, so they've got that all, and they're just waiting on the reports right now. I'm a firm believer they already know what did it. I'm sorry, if you bring in, they had to bring in the federal government. I have a feeling they have technology. They just grab a sample. They can probably stick that in and have it scanned in 2 seconds. They know what it is. So I'm sure they know what they're dealing with. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see a press blackout. That whole area is going to just automatically be put under surveillance, and they're probably going to bring in some gentlemen with some equipment to go handle this thing. It reminds me a whole lot of the Mayaka situation back in, what was that, 2012?
I think
in 2012, yeah. So it's definitely something we're going to have to deal with.
We'll talk about this story next time you are on. Christian MacLeod and Christina. If you guys actually want to stick around, Robin Haynes is next. I'll leave that up to you. Spaced Out Radio continues with Hour 3.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, guys, we got about 5.5 minutes. I'm going to put you in the background and we'll be right back, okay?
Awesome.
All right. We'll be right back, everybody. I'll let you stare at that the entire time. No, I won't. All right. Let's bring Robin in.
Hello. Hi, Robin.
Hey, sweetie, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Robin, your hair looks great tonight.
She
Oh,
looks
thank
fabulous. Don't you? You wish you had that hair.
you. Thanks.
She has her own theme song, Dave.
Yeah.
Her own theme song.
So, what did you think of my orb pictures the other night?
I think they were awesome. I was about to talk to Dave about them, but then we started talking about cryptids.
Yeah.
I thought they were cool. In fact, I was going to upload them on my website, but I want to ask you if it was all right.
Oh, absolutely. Go right ahead. That was definitely weird. I got hijacked on the way back too. Hour and 45-minute trip took 4 hours.
It's always something.
Yeah, I shouldn't travel.
Stay at home.
Oh my
Safe.
gosh.
We have under a minute here.
Look at how cool Dave's beard looks now.
I know. Doesn't it look good?
He's a baller. You should dye
He's
it.
styling.
It's easy
I'm
talking.
literally thinking of getting rid of it.
Yeah, Christina said put a lightning bolt in it.
Hey, Christina, how are you?
She's fine. She'll be right in. She took the dog out real quick.
All right. I'm going to mute you guys here for a minute. Swamp Dweller will be about 3 minutes. And we'll get going from here. Thank you tonight to Kitty Times 2, Mickey, Little Cam, Dutch Hank, and Grant for the super chats. Don't forget to hit thumbs up if you haven't already. We'd appreciate it. Here we go. We are into the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is Galimatius. Galimatius is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. I live in Mississippi, and I am Christian. I guess, because I'm not actually sure what religion I am anymore. But I swear all of these experiences are very real. So, there is a patch of woods near my house that I have always called the creek because, you know, it has a creek. Garrett, my cousin who I fight with a lot, because we hang out a lot, have seen some things here. We used to go to this creek a lot before his parents found out that he was going there behind their back and stopped him because it's quote-unquote dangerous to be there. And maybe about the third time we dared each other to go into the deep woods. The reason I say deep is that there's an exceptionally large patch of nice woods that is technically part of the creek, but there is an immediate cutoff of darkness, pencil-thin trees, and an overall feeling of eeriness. We both started walking towards it and laughing at how scared we were. There was a loud screech, like almost ear-piercingly loud. We booked it out of there. I had just told him that I had known about skinwalkers, which was not much, I'm not going to lie, but it was enough to be scary, and we were both terrified. So we get out of the creek and sat right outside of it, breathing hard and looking into the creek. We kept seeing something black about the size of a deer, which there are not really any deer there at all. This thing was darting through the trees. We kept going to the creek, probably a terrible idea, but neither of us really cared if we died because legit everything sucks. And I found a wolf jaw. I found the right side of the jaw of a wolf. It had all of its teeth except one. 2 of the teeth were removable, actually. It was interesting. It is obviously somewhat new because it still has the enamel on it, and it looked very saturated. That was the moment I started my bone collection, which is right next to me as I write this. Even before we encountered what we believed to be a skinwalker, we saw things darting around and weird sounds. We still often hear these things and see these things. There is what we call a demon in my house, who has the name of George. He likes messing with people, knocking on stuff, opening the bathroom door, moving in the corner of your eye. But he would not intentionally hurt anyone. But now recently, there's another thing I believe sits in the right far top corner from where I am, and every night, it moves around. It likes touching me where I do not want to be touched, aka the butt, the thighs, down my back and chest. This thing that I'm pretty sure is some sort of incubus or succubus likes putting what feels like a hand or hands down my shirt in places that I listed. It has happened twice now, and it's really getting on my nerves. There have been other times that Garrett and I have encountered things that I would not consider your ordinary animal. There are 2 abandoned houses up the street, one burnt down, and the other just far back from the road that it was forgotten. At both houses, and at our own houses, we have seen a white or possibly pink or peach-colored animal that looks like a humanoid. It walks on all 4s and has a gaping mouth and big black eyes. Every time we have seen it, we both go right back to our houses. We're too scared to try to figure out what it is, but I think it might be connected to that skinwalker from the creek.
Thank you, Swampy, for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories for you to listen to each and every night. And on that note, let's get to the Cryptid Q&A. We got Robin Haynes here.
Robin Haynes walks off where the tall trees sway. She hears Bigfoot whisper what the wind won't say. Through the veil of the forest where the wild man plays, the Bigfoot psychic talks to Sasquatch every day. Only on Spaced Out Radio's Cryptid Q&A.
Robin Haynes, it's always great to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my beautiful friend. How you doing?
I am doing great. Happy to be here.
It is so nice to have you here. And still joining us, we got the Cryptid Gee and Christina from American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. We always love it when he's here. We really do.
We just got to change that photo. That's so frightening.
Turn it into a t-shirt, man. I'm telling
The
you.
cryptids won't even come around with that mug. Like, goodness.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Now, Robin,
women's panties. I
before
think
the break, we were talking about this weird story out of Oklahoma where a lady was mauled
Yeah.
by a dog. But
You know, I have my doubts. I'm not going to say it's not. I never say never because there's been too many things that have happened in my life to ever say never, especially this last weekend. But what I will say is this. Number one, you're talking about this woman had to be attacked at the door, which is highly unlikely. Not impossible, but unlikely. My understanding, too, is it was daylight. And so that is another thing. They're out all day long. Like, I literally this weekend just got done sitting out at a park with a bunch of them. So they're out during the day. That's indisputable. But the whole scenario on what happened, how it happened, makes no sense to me. Not that it couldn't be. There could be one that was by itself, did something. It doesn't fit their MO. I just don't think it's accurate. So I'm gonna, wait and see what other evidence they pull up. I'm anxious to see what kind of DNA comes up on it because they're going to get, if it is a dogman, obviously there's going to be canine in it. But what else is it going to show? Huh?
You and I both know we'll never see the truth.
No, but I do not think it's a dogman. I'm sorry. I just don't. I think there's too many predators in Oklahoma for, to just zero in and say it's the dogman. As we know, there is good and bad in everything. Do I think there are bad dogmen? Yes. Do I think there's good dogmen? Absolutely. I'll take my chances with the dogman rather than our type of human. But I just, in this case, do not feel that that's what it is. And it could be. I will be the first to admit I could be 100% wrong. But from the facts that I've seen so far, it doesn't add up to me. Christian, what do you think?
I was just listening to Lance. He broke this story yesterday, and today he did an addendum to his show. And he's a very methodical, he's a doctor. He goes very scientific method. And from what he said, she walked into a gate. That wasn't a door. It was into a gate. So it was obviously it was a farm property. She was trying to look for a job. So she opens the gate, and then she gets attacked, and then she hears a gun. Then she hears a boom, and then it's off her. But the amount of damage done to her in that time between the gunshot and the attack is just all her every one of her clothes had been ripped off. All of her clothes have been ripped off and torn off. I mean, that to me it's the MO of a dog man.
It's possible. See, I haven't heard the whole story. The only thing I saw is that brief clip. But the thing that's weird to me is I feel like we're not getting the whole picture.
We're never going to get the whole picture.
No. And I will be the first to say that, is it a possibility? Yes. I never say never. But what would be the provocation for it? Like, really, you know what I mean?
There really was a gunshot right before it. There may have been that she didn't see what happened, but heard a gunshot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there was some other altercation happening.
Yeah, it was in a bad mood, or got pissed off. Someone shot at it, or was trying to kill it.
Or maybe their young were in trouble, and
I mean,
they were
it's
defending
possible.
themselves, and she was in the wrong place.
Yeah, the only thing I know about it is a little clip that I saw on TikTok. That was it, and there wasn't enough information in that clip for me to say definitively yes or no.
Well,
like
he interviewed the sheriff, and he did a really good job. The sheriff, it was very strange to me how open the sheriff was to talk about it, because Lance must have explained who he was and what he was doing and what he does. And then the guy was very, very, he was very forthcoming, and I was very surprised on how open he was about it, because he was very buddy with Lance. He was very polite to him. He was not dismissive at all. It just, to me, it sounds like he knows what it was, but he's not going to say.
I'd love to see the clip because I might change my stance on it. I'm going by that short little blip that I saw that really had no information. I did see one picture of her in the hospital bed, and she was in really rough shape.
Well, there's a huge chunk of her that was taken off, and her right arm was almost completely bitten off. So they had to.
And they never saw anything. Nobody saw a predator.
No one's saying anything.
She said she saw something dog-like.
Yeah, that I heard her say. I mean, it's possible. They can cloak.
Have you ever seen pictures of a bear
here? I'm going to play some audio. I was able to find some audio from the sheriff from this town. So we're going to play some audio here with it. I'm just going to cover up for our YouTube side. I mean, I'm going to cover up the video of it, but let's go that way.
Here's I think that did it. That right there is what the problem is.
here's the
yeah. 48 years, I've never been involved or seen anything to this extent as far as injuries caused by a wild animal. Our question now is what caused these injuries. We've got the Department of Wildlife. They have actually taken some of the evidence, some of the clothing that was ripped from her, and send it off to one of their labs to see what we can find out if there's any way to identify what type of animal.
The tragedy.
So right there, I mean, the sheriff is basically saying that he has no idea what this type of animal was. Sheriff Frankie McClendon.
Did they?
Story.
I'm sorry. Did they happen to say what the shot was for? Like, if you're going to shoot at something, normally you see something.
But no one's talking. All that shot is coming from the woman that's been injured.
Right.
She said she heard the dog growl, then there was a shot, and that's all she remembers.
Okay.
So no one else.
It's entirely possible, guys. I'm not going to rule it out. I'm not going to rule it out because there are facts that would back it up. Really, there is. The fact that they never saw anything makes me definitely think that it's something cryptid, because we know the cryptids can all
she didn't see or hear anything.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm
drive in.
Yeah,
Well,
I got to go and flip it and say it's possible.
guys, I got to get you to speak one at a time because you're over speaking each other and it doesn't come through properly for live radio. That doesn't really work. But I do want to get to the point that he said, like there is concern here. Like everywhere you go, and Robin and Christian and Christina, you guys will all know this. So I'm stating the obvious here. It doesn't matter where you are in North America, you know what animals are in your area, whether they're predatory or whether they are just wild animals. It could be a badger, it could be a deer, it could be a skunk, it could be a bear, it could be anything, but you know your list of animals.
Mm-hmm.
And for this, where they're not recognizing any of the signs of the animals that are in that area, that is concerning. And to me, that sounds more cryptid than it does something that is natural to the area. Or I know in a lot of the US states, you guys allow certain big animals, whether it's tigers or lions or leopards or whatever it may be, as pets. But it doesn't seem to be one of those either.
I don't know. I think we have to acknowledge the fact that there's a good chance that it could be. I mean, realistically, she hasn't seen anything. What else other than cryptids, aliens, elementals, dimensionals can cloak if there's no physical body? Now, the other thing that, and I have to flip my switch on this and say that, from what you guys have told me, because I didn't know what you guys had shared tonight, it does sound more cryptid to me. And that is a concern. They've really got the leg up on us with the whole cloaking thing. But the other thing, too, is, there was this one person I saw that went on there and said that she knew about the situation, and which could have been all BS, and that they thought, that it was some type of a bear or a big cat or whatever. But you would see them. For nobody to see anything is very bizarre, very bizarre. And if it was a regular dog, like just, feral dog or whatever, they're not getting off you. They're going to stay and keep shredding you. Whatever this thing was, it didn't stick around.
And another thing, and it's just the fact that in seconds, it had stripped this woman's clothes completely off her. And I'm not trying to kick a dead horse here, sound like a perp. But that's exactly, they don't want to eat denim. They don't want to eat nylon. That's one of the first things that happens during an animal attack is the clothes get stripped off. But it was done it was boom, it was done. Even when you listen to that Sheriff talk more, he talks about how she was completely nude when they found her.
Whatever it was, had to have sharp claws.
And it shredded the clothes off.
Yeah. And, like you said, Christian, I agree with you. We're never going to find out, but I would love to find the DNA on it.
Oh, God.
Oh, of course.
But the only thing I saw on that was that the DNA was being checked, but who knows what they're going to say, if they're ever going to say. The government would be all over it. But see, that's the other thing. By now, the government should have already shut all talk about it down, and they haven't. And that's a little bit odd to me. But maybe they're thinking that, Fish and Wildlife usually will come in and, it was this, it was that, and it's just an animal. We know that's not what these things are.
And they'll convince her she didn't see what she thinks she saw.
Yeah. To me, it's very concerning. I think people in the area need to be aware of it. Absolutely have to be a little bit more careful. There's good and bad in everything. I'll be the first one to say I get along fine with the dogmen. But there are some really bad ones. I mean, just like there are people. It's not listed, strictly to cryptids. I would prefer being with cryptids than I would be humans. But, it is sounding more and more like with the information you guys gave me that this is something they need to take seriously and be checking into.
Well, here's the other thing too. I'm just going to throw this out there. I mean, let's kind of label this at what it possibly could be. As we got about 5 minutes to go before the hour. Could it have been a Bigfoot? Is there Bigfoot in those areas? Could it have been a dogman? Or considering we are seeing an influx in werewolf reports now, could it have been a werewolf?
What about a Janasqua? If there's
You know,
skin missing.
well, I was,
Face was neat.
yeah, right. And the other thing, let's be real. To me, if we're going to really get picky about what this thing is, rather than a dogman, I would lay money of a Gugly, because there have been physical attacks. There's just something about it. I'm not saying it's not a dogman. I'm saying there's something about it that doesn't feel right to me. Call it intuition, call me a weirdo, whatever. It doesn't, something isn't right about this.
I felt that way, me too, but I thought it was just because, of my prejudice for dogmen.
Yeah. But a Gugly, absolutely. Guglies will go, and they've killed humans before in broad daylight for no reason, no provocation. They are cannibalistic in nature, and they are that aggressive. And there would have been a growl with it. I mean, I highly doubt that when that time was going on, she was looking at this growl going, boy, does that sound like a dog? Does it sound like a kangaroo? What does it sound like? She heard a growl. And the first thing we would go to would be the dogman. But like I said, and I'm happy to say that it could be. There's something to me that just doesn't feel right. And I would be leaning more towards a Gugly. A Gugly will come out of nowhere and chase down a human and attack them. They don't care if there's 1,000 people watching. They just don't care. They're soulless, they're evil, and they're cannibals. And they would absolutely attack like that, and they would shred everything like that, and then be gone in a heartbeat if they felt like they were cornered.
I mean, that would explain for the skin loss. Like I say, it wouldn't surprise me either way. But in the growl, the only thing that got me on the guy, because her face wasn't attacked, and usually a Gugwig just bites the face. You know how they attack; they go right for the head.
Yeah, well, they'll go for anything they can get.
Yeah, but I like I said, it could you could be 100% right. We don't know. We're not gonna know.
She's missing skin, and she has to have that many surgeries.
Well, the thing was Lance is a doctor, and he said the way they described the way they put on so much gauze. They put on so much gauze, he said it was a specific type of wound where flesh was missing. So he said that was on her arm and all on her right side.
So McAllister, Oklahoma is a population of about 18,700 people. It is kind of tucked in by the Pocahontas Mountains. Have we had reports around the Pocahontas Mountains of these creatures?
Oklahoma has got them all over, Gugly included. They're not, whether you're talking about a Sasquatch, a dogman, or a Gugly, they are not just set in certain areas. For me, I'm leaning towards the Gugly, but that's just my own opinion. Doesn't mean it's right. But, you're talking about the mountains. When you get up in mountain areas, all that stuff hides in there. They get way up in there. They come down off the mountain whenever they darn well please, and then anything can happen. There was a couple that was actually, the husband ended up dead from a Gugly attack out of nowhere. Broad daylight. They were out in their own backyard. They had found these weird structures made in it. I'm not going to go into the state because it's not my place, and these things were not even, there was no provocation. They came out after this couple, and the woman went running towards the house. The husband tried to make it to the house, and they got hold of him. He tried to get up a tree to get away from it. And of course, they went right up after the tree. I mean, this poor woman watched her husband get murdered by these things. And there was nothing left. I mean, they tore skin off of him, flesh off of him, clothes off of him. They weren't specific as far as a head attack. It was his entire body. I mean, something that's that hostile, that out of nowhere runs up to a gate. I mean, yeah, you can get a dogman attack, you can get a Sasquatch attack, but it really takes a lot of provocation for them to go up to the home like that. You know what I mean? Gugly don't care. They literally don't care if there's a stadium full of people.
They're more likely to attack during the day than the others?
A Gugly will attack at any time, day or night. I work with a clan in one of the southern states.
We got to go to break, bottom of the hour. Robin Haynes of the Cryptid Q&A with special guest Christian and Christina from American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. We'll be back with the final half hour of the show. This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott. All right. I'm just kind of showing you an area here, guys, of the map here from Google. So apparently in the area of the Pocahontas Mountains of, I'll wait to say that when we're on the air, but never mind. Colin Collins, how you doing? And let me just pull up the map here. So you can see the mountain ranges in here. And there's a lot of waterways and areas in here. Not much forest, but enough. So she was right here. This is where she lived. There doesn't seem to be a lot of forested areas in this area. I mean, granted, we don't know where she lived, but
this happened in the north. This happened in the northwest section of Blanco. So it'd be over here more. If you look up at the northwest section, that's all. That's all. It's all green, man. There's lakes.
Yeah, that's a big body of water right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the reports it said she was from McAllister.
Right, but she was in Blanco and she was in the northwest corner. And she was barely in Blanco. She was closer to almost another town.
Well,
So
where is Blanco? Let me find out where Blanco is.
There you go. So she was in the northwest corner of Blanco looking for a job. And that's where she lived up there, but this is where the attack happened. So look at all the emptiness around there. That's all wilderness.
Not a lot of people in Blanco.
Nope.
I don't even think they have a Spirit of 76 there.
No, I mean, but look at all that space. Look at all the greenery. Look at all the forest.
They don't even have a friggin' gas station here. All right, let's find out where we got about 2 minutes here. Yeah, I did have it in Blanco. Sorry about that.
He's all right.
Yeah, I mean, if she's on this side, I mean, that's a big forest.
Northwest side. Yeah, that's where it happened. Upper northwest side. So right where you are, that's all where it happened right there. Look at that. Look at that. That's all. Yeah.
Oh, thick forest.
I mean, that's a lot of coverage there.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you head to the west here.
Yep. I mean, you could literally travel and not be seen. You could go through forest the whole time. So, Robin, you're right. We don't know what the hell that is. You know what I mean?
That is interesting.
How much you guys want to bet the DNA is either going to come back bare or unidentified, contaminated?
I would say you're right on that. Are there wolves in the area?
I don't know. Oklahoma? I'd have to ask Robin that. I honestly don't know.
Where's the Robinator?
Right, she's right there. She's got her blanked out. Her mic's muted.
Oh,
there you go.
Sorry, Robin. Sorry about
That's all
that.
right. That's all right. No, I mean, I think it's definitely a cryptid. I'm not going to say it's not a dogman, but the violence of it to me seems more like a gugway personally. Now,
Yeah, look at all that space, Rob. I mean, it could be anything.
oh yeah, it could be any of them. Any of them.
There are no wolves in the area. Coyotes, of course, there are.
I think they'll come back and say that there's canine in it because she said it had a growl and it was dog-like, and I think that's kind of set it in stone.
Here we go, guys. We're into the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. The Cryptid Q&A with Robin Haynes happening right now as we are talking about this weird case in Oklahoma, Blanco, Oklahoma, of a lady who recently got mauled by something that she described as a dog. But the sheriff of the county basically says, we don't know what this was that mauled her. It doesn't match any of the predatory animals in our area. What that means, we don't know, but we're talking about it tonight. Robin Haynes is here, and from American Cryptid and Paranormal Society, we have the cryptid guy, Christian MacLeod. Christina is here with him. We bring you guys back in. Now, looking at a map of this area of Blanco, Oklahoma, if you bring it up on Google Maps and you put it on the topography of it, which is actually the color and not just like a street map, there is a lot of forested areas for anything big to hide in here, Robin.
Oh yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I think it's definitely a cryptid, but I mean, if they honestly, nobody saw anything, the only thing that it could lead to is a cryptid. I tend to lean more towards the gugway just because of not that dogmen can't have a violent attack, but because of the wounds, the shredding of the clothing, all of it. I'm not saying it couldn't be a dogman, but the gugway have a snout as well. They typically have the growl, and they are not shy about going up to someone's home. Not that a dogman wouldn't. We know that there are some cases where that's happened. So it would have to be either the dogman or the gugway.
What I think we need to find out, Christian and Christina, is we really need to find out the footprints. The footprints are going to give it away. What did the footprints look like? And obviously there is going to be somebody who has taken pictures of these footprints if there was footprints left.
I mean, you're 100% right, because we'll be able to tell, if it's Yadowska, it's going to have the claws, and if it's Gugway, it might not. So depending on what the footprints right, you're ex-100% right. But the problem is how are you going to get the footprints? Like who's in charge of that whole area? They've already brought in the feds. So I think what's going to happen is tomorrow we'll hear possible bear or coyotes attack, and that'll be it. Then they're going to hush it up, and all the information is going to disappear, and it'll just be one of those things that just no one talks about. The only way you can keep something like this alive is to keep talking about it. But you have to have. There's got to have to be a whistleblower. There's got to have to be someone that shows the pictures and the evidence. And if we could get the DNA results, that would be quintessential for me. But I'm sure the fix is already in. I mean, the second they brought the feds in, I'm sure that DNA was swapped. It was probably swapped right there. Here's a different bet here. Test this. Don't worry about that. And it's going to come back either coyote or bear or something like that.
The fact that they brought the feds in right there is really telling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The locals aren't handling this. The feds are already in on it. They're all over it, which means it's already covered up. It'll be a dog. It'll be a bear. It'll be a coyote. It'll be anything under the sun other than what it is. But none of those things cloak. And like I said, I am more than happy to say that the possibility of it being a Dogman is there. Let's be real.
But see, the other thing is you're right, but all three of those entities can take a blast from a gun and run away from it. So that's the other thing, you know?
Well, and I want to hear more about this whole gun thing, because if you're going to shoot a gun, I mean, was the gun just shot up in the air as a warning
have
sign?
no idea. We have no idea if it even happened. All she said was to her sister-in-law, she heard the growl, a gunshot, and that's it.
Yeah. See, I think the big key to a lot of this is whoever did the gunshot, what did they see? If they saw nothing, did they fire a warning shot because they couldn't hear it? Or they heard it, but they couldn't see it. It was, that's really brazen to do it that time of day, up by the fence, that kind of thing. Now, any cryptid could have done that, absolutely. But again, a Gugwe does not care what the place is, the time is. I don't care if there's a football field of people there. They do not care. They just don't care. They have one goal in mind, and that is shredding the victim. Okay, I've not heard of anybody that has not gone after them that did not get completely shredded by him. And like I said, that one couple, that's what had happened to that guy as well. And some of the attacks that the Gugwe have done on the Sasquatch were not just a facial attack. They were completely torn apart throughout their whole body. But it could have been any of the cryptids. I mean, realistically, we don't know the temperament of the ones there. We all know that there's good and bad and everything. So, and there's plenty of coverage there. Clearly, the woods is all over the place. It could have been anything. But the other thing to think about as well, and I've talked about this before when it comes to like the missing 411 cases and stuff like that, I mean, that obviously is Dave Pilotti's thing, but all the missing people in the parks and whatever, guys, the least thing you have to worry about is the Sasquatch and the Dogman. Yes, there are some that are gone because of them, but there are worse things out there than the Sasquatch and a Dogman. So we cannot rule out that something of that nature could have come in at this woman as well. And every single one of the bloody things can cloak.
That's the scary part. You don't see it coming.
No.
And what's really sad about this whole story is this poor woman was looking for work, and she's willing to do farm work to help support her family because her husband's waiting for a kidney transplant. And then this happens to her. This is just horrible set of circumstances. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find that GoFundMe and I'm going to put that on my website. And Dave, I think if you would do that, that'd be a cool thing too, just to help these people out, because this is just tragic. I mean, this is horrible.
Poor woman, my
And
goodness.
she's never going to get the story. She's never going to get what really happened.
Oh no, this is going to be completely buried. But it's like I was out with the Dogman and the Sasquatch on Sunday, twice. I was out by myself. They were just walking around, So I mean, there's good and bad and everything, but there's something about this that there, honestly, from what you guys have told me, there was no provocation. So why?
Doesn't sound like it.
We don't know what the guy with the gun was doing. There may have been some provocation beforehand.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think that whole gun situation has a lot to do with it. If there were footprints, the feds have already got those wrapped up. They're gone.
They're gone.
Nobody's going to get them. But again, like I said, there are other cryptids besides Sasquatch and Dogman that we cannot rule out, and Gugwe is one of them. And those suckers do not care who's there. They're soulless. They don't care what they do. They do it when they want, how they want. It's pretty bad. It's just really sad. And this poor woman, she'll have nightmares about this for the rest of her life if she survives.
This is life-changing.
She's going to have a ton of surgeries to
She's still got 5 more.
Together.
5 more surgeries to go. It's horrible.
There is, these stories that have happened before. I mean, going back a few years ago, there was the 3-year-old boy or 4-year-old boy who was taken from his yard for 2 days. And he said, and that was in North Carolina.
That was right up the street from us, actually. Yeah.
Where the boy said a teddy bear took care of him and fed him and kept him warm. That child in those weather conditions, because it happened in winter, should have had frostbite, should have had a lot of cold, and yet he was warm. And the briar patch that they found him in had been searched, that area, 4 or 5 times. and then he was in the middle of a briar patch. No rips on his clothing outside of the points from the briars. There was no scratches on him. He was not harmed. And all he said was a big teddy bear took care of him. Now, sorry, Robin, for people who don't understand the wilderness, if a bear wakes up during hibernation, they are angry and they are hungry. A 4-year-old is a perfect meal.
The snack.
Yeah, exactly.
Typical Sasquatch behavior. The females will put the babies in a briar patch or in something that will be protective for them, that another predator would not normally go into to keep them safe. That is absolutely Sasquatch behavior. And I have no reason to believe the Dogman wouldn't do the same. But in that particular case, I firmly believe that that was a Sasquatch. There's no other explanation. There's been countless cases where that kind of actions have happened, multiple times, where Sasquatch has taken a child that's lost and deposited him on somebody else's doorstep. I mean, it's happened too many times. And the whole thing about the briar, I had a female in Michigan that we had a part of the property that dipped kind of low and it would flood a lot. And there was like all these tall reeds, just huge reeds and cattails and everything that would grow in there. And she, every day when she would go out to hunt or whatever, she'd put the baby in there every day. And she'd let it just.
That's the story. I remember that when that broke here, the sheriff of the town, he's the one, he said he should basically shoot the press out. He's like, we're not taking any questions. And that was it. All you heard about was the kid coming home, and he said a big teddy bear saved him, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. They didn't do any interviews. They didn't do anything else after that.
They shushed it.
They shut it down. It's exactly what's going to happen here.
I think they shut down the parents from talking too.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But the thing I want to point out is, and I feel bad for this woman in this respect as well, when there are good things done, like bringing the little boy back, and again, that's happened countless times, more stories than you can talk about, those stories are shushed, they're quiet, it's like it never happened. Let somebody get shredded, and the government will come in and change it around and make it a wild animal, yes, but it's talked about constantly because sensationalism sells. And they would rather paint a picture of any cryptids or anything in the paranormal spectrum as being violent and aggressive than they will ever say, look, there was a kindness shown.
Well, the press has that statement, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
Put it out there. That's because it gets the audience. It sells.
Yeah, it does. It sells. And that sensationalism sells. Whatever's more horrific, whatever more graphic, it grabs the audience's attention. Now I feel for this woman because I don't think anybody will ever know the truth, and it'll haunt her forever, and that's not fair for her. I pray for her because what she went through, nobody should go through regardless of what did it. But to me, it sounds like some kind of cryptid. I'm personally leaning more towards the Gugweet. Could be a Dogman. It could be a Sasquatch because they'll all growl. Let's be real.
Right.
I had one in my next door neighbor's yard and was standing there, and the guy didn't realize that it was standing there. He went to throw some stuff into the brush, and he heard a growl, and he looked up, and here's this gargantuan Sasquatch standing there. Never touched him, never did anything to him, just growled at him, and then it cloaked. Scared the crap out of him. I mean, this is a 6'3" large man, and it absolutely terrified him. But the reality of it is you never know. It could be any of them, and there's so many unknown cryptids. Like, we can't forget about that. We really can't. The Sasquatch call him the Micaiah, he that walks the earth that has no name, and there are a ton of them.
Yeah, I was doing a TV show with the Discovery Channel, and we got growled at, but it started on the infrared spectrum, and then it went up. And the guy with the digital recorder, I agree 100%, because if they growl at you, you're getting close. Now, we didn't see where it was. I heard, it was like right to our left and down a little bit of an embankment, but that was all on digital recording, and it started in the infrasound level, and it came all the way up. And that was like, well, we just backed out and picked up, do the regular. But you're right, they growl at you. That's just a warning. I'm surprised she even heard a growl, It sounded like this thing had its mind made up just to attack her the second it saw her.
See, that's what I mean. And to me, that's more Gugwy.
Yeah.
Like the dogmen, the thing about the dogmen is not that they won't, and you hear stories all the time about dogmen attacks. I mean, look at the LBL and Sasquatch attacks. Okay. You can go to downtown Detroit and get attacked by humans easier than you can at the LBL. So it's not just because they're a dogman. And I know I harp on that, but I just think they get such a bad rap. I've had good luck with them. I have talked to bad ones before and dealt with them, but mostly they've been pleasant. I've enjoyed it. But there is so many cryptids out there that people are not aware even exist. They don't even have a term for them. That's why the Sasquatch call all the ones that have no name a Micaiah. And any of those things can do exactly what was done to her. But what I do know with the dogmen is most of them, not all, clearly, they're more stoic. They're more reclusive than a Sasquatch. You've got a better chance of seeing a Sasquatch than you do the dogmen. You know, they'd rather just be left alone. They don't want to be messed with most of the time. There's a couple of them that are kind of funny characters that are different, that are kind. But obviously it could be a dogman, but I'm just saying I don't think we can rule out the other cryptids as well.
We got about 6 minutes to go here before we have to shut it down tonight on an interesting conversation about a lady in Oklahoma who was mauled by what she believed was a dog growling, but police in the area basically said, we're not sure what attacked her. And it doesn't seem to be like any predatory animal out there. So, I mean, it's easy for people like us to get right into the cryptid side of things, Robin. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's very easy for us to say, okay, it wasn't a pack of coyotes. It wasn't a pack of wolves. There are no wolves in that area, Blanco, Oklahoma. It wasn't, a dog with mange that, maybe it was one of them big bull mastiffs that's 180 pounds. I mean, could it have been something like that? I think, I'm leaning towards cryptid. I am 100% leaning towards cryptid, but do we not have to look for answers regarding potential logical?
Well, a real dog wouldn't have been able to shred things that fast. They don't have sharp talon claws. So I think the regular dog or a wolf in the area is kind of out.
For me, it's
Robin, I'm sorry, Robin, go ahead.
I'm sorry, sweetie, go ahead.
No, please.
No, for me, it was pretty cut and dry of a cryptid as soon as I heard she saw nothing.
Yeah.
Any predator that attacks you, once the attack starts, it stays and finishes the job. It's not a hit and run. Okay? So, and nobody saw anything. If there was a visual, even if they said, looks like about 200 pounds, or it's just anything, any visual of anything, there was none. Okay, so a regular flesh and blood animals, although they are very high frequency, they do not cloak. So if there's nothing there, an attack is happening to the extent that this poor sweet woman had happened, the only logical reason is because something had to be able to cloak. So as soon as you have those injuries, see nothing. Now, if she turns around and says, my memory came back, I saw this, I could believe then it was an actual predator. But as of today, she has no memory of seeing anything other than hearing a growl. She heard a growl. She sees nothing. Nobody sees nothing. This woman is shredded to pieces. There is no physical animal that can do that. The only thing that can do that is something that cloaks, which puts you into the paranormal spectrum, which throws it back on the cryptids.
You're exactly right. And, this reminds me of, remember the beginning of Jaws, where they find that one poor woman who got eaten, and they're like, oh, it was a boat motor.
Yeah.
And then that's exactly what's going to happen here. You're gonna find out. She'll wake up in a couple of days after she's had some therapy and someone's talked to her, and she's gonna say, it was a bear. It was an angry bear. That's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. It was a bear. I was just so scared. I didn't know what to think. And then I look back and remember it was a bear. And that'll be the end of it, because someone will get to her and and probably take care of all the medical bills and say, okay, now.
They're going to
be it was a rabid bear or something.
Bear.
They're going to plant that in her mind until she actually believes that that's what it was, because the human brain is third dimensional. Okay. It cannot accept anything in the paranormal spectrum. You get that through higher frequency and through the collective consciousness. The third dimensional brain cannot deal. It's not equipped to deal with anything outside of the physical. So her own brain is going to talk her into believing that it was a physical animal. It was nothing in that paranormal spectrum. And then she's going to have everybody else on her going, no, it had to have been this, it had to have been that. And the power of suggestion, because she has a third dimensional brain, is going to overrule it. But what they're missing is anytime anything happens, good, bad, or indifferent, your first reaction is because your body reads the energy of it, and that's the truest response you'll get before that third dimensional brain can shut down anything. It's the way the process works. So now she's had time for that brain to shut down at being anything paranormal, anything to do with a cryptid, and it's going to go right back to the flesh and blood animals. And then she's got people feeding her information, and it's all going to, I agree with Christian and Christina, it's going to go all the way back to it's a wild animal. On top of the fact, let's be real, guys, how many feds come in for if it's a bear attack?
I mean, never.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was a cryptid attack. We just don't know which one. And I think we would be very remiss if we just pinned it on one specific cryptid when there are so many cryptids out there and so many that we do not know. And a lot of them can be very hostile. And again, I'm not saying for sure it's a gugly, but the whole MO on it to me is more gugly than it is anything else.
It's going to be so much fun. And you know what, Christian, I'm going to leave it to you on this one to try and do a follow-up on this, because we definitely want to be able to hear what has come next with this one.
I tell you what, I will call and email Lance, because he's got like his finger on the pulse of all this. Whether he calls or emails me back, I don't know. I don't, he's pretty high up in the echelon. He's a busy guy, but I'll be more than happy to look into this, because to me this is fascinating. Because, the other thing, Marvin just made a really good point. All this is happening to this poor woman, plus she's on heavy narcotic painkillers. Mm-hmm. All right. So suggesting things to her, that's probably going to be planted in there. I don't know if you guys have ever been, under sedation. I have. And if someone's saying stuff to you, you're hearing it, on that subconscious, like Robin's talking about. That might just be enough to put it in there. But
they use something called Versed, midazolam, that's a hypnotic that you could tell anybody anything.
All right. Robin Haynes, a great cryptid report. Thank you, Christian and Christina, for sticking around as we say goodnight to our great guests. And hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elga, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, people. Good job tonight. 1 second. Let me get you unmuted here.
Okay. Do you want the verdict on Nebraska?
Do you want to say that publicly? Because we're still on YouTube.
Okay, we'll get done. I'll wait. Well, either way, it's going to go public anyway. So
Go ahead.
it is now, unfortunately, official that we have had to cancel the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. We are set up for next year. We did make one last attempt, and that was shut down yesterday.
I'm sorry,
So,
Robin.
Yeah, me too.
Dave, I'm sorry about that, brother. I know you wanted to,
Well, we are hoping to have everybody back next year. Christian, we'd like you to come with us as well.
I'll be there.
This is with a heavy heart that we do this, and we did try. We went to great lengths to have this not happen, and the final act was yesterday. So everybody's tickets will be refunded. I will start the refunding process as of tomorrow because we did not start it yet because we were hoping to be able to salvage it. But we are already making plans for next year and getting things set up.
I'm sorry, guys. I know you looked for it.
Yeah, I'm sorry
that's
this
terrible.
happened.
Yeah, these were unforeseen circumstances that were beyond our control.
I think you had things that just suddenly popped up that were against you. You weren't going to be able to overcome.
No, not a lot of choices.
Yeah, that's sad. Are you going to be moving locations next year?
Oh, yes. Yes, we will have a completely different location. And we are very hopeful that everybody will join us. It will be bigger and better than it was before. And same exciting guests. Our guests from this year, we have invited all back for next year. And of course, Christian, we would love for you to join us. Christina, you as well. Yeah, we've already got venues that we are looking at and very excited about. And we will have a wonderful time as always. This year, some things came up last minute that unfortunately were beyond our control.
Yeah, that's terrible news.
Yeah.
Terrible news. No offense. It sucks. Yeah. Balls.
Oh, yes. This is a tradition that's been going on for about 10 years. So this is very heartbreaking for the entire team.
How's the I can't think of her name right now.
Harriet?
Harriet, thank you. How's Harriet?
She took it pretty hard, but she is very excited and already working on next year's event. We want to make sure, since we had to disappoint people this year, that it's off the chain next year. And so she's busy checking out venues, getting them locked down for dates next year. And we will continue on. As Harriet says, we don't let the dream killers get to us.
There you go.
It's just the whole thing just kind of, and I know he's even going to be there. The whole thing just ticks me off when they went down because it's just so unnecessary.
Yep.
I just wish we had that one. I wish we had the one piece of the equation that's missing that would inform us on why it all went down like this.
Yeah. So, but that's all right. We rise above it. We continue on and we make it better than ever. So.
Yeah.
It's the only thing to do.
Yep.
We'll rock it. It'll be fun. We'll have fun.
Maybe
we should do it at the bar. We should have a bar there.
And Dave, where we're going next year, there is a Taco Bell nearby.
Oh,
there it is. There it is.
Please don't even think that we would book anywhere without a Taco Bell and a Mexican restaurant for you.
That's all.
Better.
I know. After everything you've gone through.
Are you moving?
And I will say this: all of our
Thailand.
Pardon?
Are you moving?
You're not going to Thailand, Dave. No.
No, we are going to be
dangerous.
We are going to be out of Grand Island. Yes, we've got 2 different locations that we're looking at. Both will be fabulous, and we have been very blessed. I do have to get hold of Vera. Varla? I'm so sorry, Varla. It's late at night over here for me, and I have to get hold of her. But everybody else I've talked to, and the whole gang is on board and planning on being there next year.
I will be in.
Yep.
Sounds good.
We're there. We'll bring the dog.
There you go. And we're going to try to find somebody to work the museum, so the museum will be open at the same time. We normally close it for the conference, but we want to get it open for it because every year people ask to go through the museum at the same time, and it's just not possible to be in 2 places at one time. And so I talked to Harriet about it, and she's like, I've got to find somebody next year. She said, I've got to have somebody that can work that day and, be able to let people in because it really is amazing. It is in the Library of Congress. And so we want to get as many people to be able to go through it as possible.
Sorry, are you moving it out of Grand Island?
Yes. It will either be in Omaha or it will be in Hastings. We've got a few locations to look at.
Omaha's a nice town.
Mm-hmm. We always had it in Hastings and we did really well. But yeah, we've got more things that we want to do. So we will be back. So don't count us out yet.
Sweet.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. You guys hold on. We're going to say goodnight to our audience. As tomorrow night on the show, Science Bob will be here for another fuel-injected UFO conversation on Science Bob and Friends. Big thank you tonight to Kitty, Mickey, Dutch, Grant, Kitty again, and Little Cam for the super chats. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you all tomorrow night. Don't forget, after the show, if you haven't already, leave us a thumbs up. It helps with our algorithms as well. If you have any questions, comments about tonight's show, we want to hear from them. Put those in the comment section on our YouTube channel. I always am reading that. I'm always asking or answering questions or anything like that. So make sure you do that for us. To the rest of you, we shall see you in about 23 hours or 21 hours or 20 hours and 55 minutes. How about that? See you tomorrow night, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.